Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's number 202, episode 202 podcast.
202, you got there.
I
You
got
kinda
there.
mixed up some of the words that you normally do.
Just 200 in. You'd think I'd get it dialed, but
Nobody thinks that.
okay.
There's nobody at
Good.
this point in our listening audience that expects anything other than a good, solid C student.
You know, funny thing, hey, I was better than a C student, which doesn't mean anything regarding our podcast.
No,
I
of course
realize
not.
that.
You and I were very similar. Didn't have to work too hard. Got those good enough grades.
And secondly, I think about how here we are, it's 202, and we're going to do things a little differently yet again. As we know, last week.
Yeah, we're here on Monday night as we always are.
Uh-huh.
You know, nothing.
Monday nights, totally normal.
Never sway from the Monday night deal.
Of course, we're here every Monday night. So last week on number 201, I essentially, for the majority of the podcast, came in, started things out, and was solo on it because you had some obligations that were taking place. You ultimately joined me a little bit later in the show, but we had a very scaled-back version, actually just running to straight YouTube Live, straight from my phone from still here in your basement. This week, we had to change things up a little bit. Both you and I realized there was some stuff going on tomorrow night, being that it's the eve of 4th of July. Yes, tomorrow is only July 3rd, but with traveling on Wednesday, along with the disc golf history podcast that Scott Stokely puts on Wednesday, plus Wednesday's the 4th of July, so
Even
we
though
were
we
pushing
won't
it
be
back.
doing it on Wednesday, Scott's.
Exactly.
It's the 4th of July. It's a holiday. Everyone's taking some time off.
All sorts of stuff. So a little bit of madness, but here we are for number 202 on a Monday night, which does feel a little bit weird.
It's a little bit odd. I mean, it's...
Does anybody, let me ask this, does anybody ever clamor for the idea of getting the podcast? Of course, it's immediately archived, almost immediately. It's all up to YouTube, but it's archived almost immediately so people can go back and watch it right away on YouTube. But then you actually release the regular podcast to our non-Patreon subscribers to come on Thursday, on a typical Tuesday night. Do people clamor for it earlier?
No one clamors for it earlier, but I'll say,
Okay.
but I'll say this. Because you recorded on your phone for the last episode,
Yep.
we didn't have a raw audio copy as we always do that I quickly process, push out for all of our listeners. Tuesday, became Wednesday. I didn't get a chance to do it because Disc Golf History and Legends is taking up the streaming system. Then Thursday came and I was busy for whatever reason. And by Thursday is when it normally comes out. I'd forgotten about it Thursday. Friday, I get an email saying, hey, is the podcast coming out? And I was like, oh yeah, I was going to put that out on audio. I need to strip the audio from the YouTube copy, do all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll totally get to it. And then Friday became Saturday. Saturday, I went to a tournament and played. Saturday night, I was in no condition. I was just exhausted to do it. I got another message on Facebook saying, hey, yeah, did I miss the podcast? I look forward to it every week. And I felt really guilty. So first thing I did Sunday morning, I woke up and I made sure to strip the audio from the video version, put it in, run a little bit of processing on it to make it sound just a little cleaner, and push it out. So most people probably just got our podcast, our last one, yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
So correct. We are running a little bit off, but today we're going to set the train straight and go on Monday.
Yeah, that should just clarify it for everybody that we're going to be, now that we're back here on a Monday. So welcome, everyone. It might be a little bit straightforward and even a little shorter tonight because of the change-up that we're having. I reached out to Dynamite. He may or may not be joining us for a little while. We're going to recap a few things that we saw over the weekend, namely the tournament you won. So that's Johnny went out and bought a whiteboard just so he could actually itemize agenda topics for tonight because we normally don't have them. First thing on the whiteboard, Johnny V's win. So we got to make sure we get that discussed. So we will cover that.
That was going to be highlighted. We were going to cover that after the big events. Like,
really? I thought that would. I thought that was the
you saved the
headliner.
best for last.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
So
yes.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what we saw for the Tunee going on over internationally. We'll also talk about the Minnesota Majestic, which I had the pleasure of attending and watching most of that action go down over the weekend. So all around, some really good stuff over the weekend. And then as we mentioned, we're prepping and we're going to be heading out to the DGLO, the D-Glow, as many have referred to it throughout the years, the Great Lakes Open, which is where the Disc Golf Pro Tour will resume in Milford, Michigan. Milford, Michigan. Novi, Kensington Metro Park, there, Wixom, Walled Lake. There's a lot of different tiny little cities there. You may hear, that's not near there.
I know.
You're way off the mark there.
I know.
So you may hear me mention any one of those cities this weekend. Don't get confused as to where we are. Those are all kind of in reference to the same area.
Correct. They're all very small sections of the same metro area.
So that's where we'll be this upcoming weekend. But a couple of things I want to cover right off the bat. I don't think there's any better call out here on the day other than Audrey and Kyle Webster getting married today.
Today. I thought they are strange like us. We normally are on Tuesday nights. Most weddings are Saturdays or Sundays.
Sometimes Fridays,
you hear Friday. They're doing
Monday?
it Monday. Like, it's very strange. I'm sure they're saving a bunch of money by doing it on a Monday. Or maybe they just really have a particular date in mind. But awesome for them. Congratulations. Kyle, I've interacted with him here and there on occasion, and what a wonderful guy in general.
Here's what I'm going to say. Some of us know Kyle a little bit better than his new bride, mainly because Kyle's out there on tour more often, and we see him and, like you said, interact with him. We just saw him at the GBO. I'm going to go ahead and say that Kyle is one of those types of guys that makes almost all other guys look like chumps. He is incredibly sweet and thoughtful and kind and says and does nice, very caring things that most guys think about doing maybe in like the first few weeks of courting a female or significant other. I think that's like Kyle's day-to-day. So Kyle, you make everyone else, most other men, look bad. So keep up the good work.
I'm fairly certain.
Blessings to you guys.
I'm fairly certain I bought him a shot at GBO. He was out with us that
might
night
have happened.
With a few people and having some fun. I think I bought him a shot. I'm sure I'm probably misremembering it. He probably bought me two or three or four, but I'm fairly certain I think I got him one. So congratulations.
Yes,
congratulations
again,
to the both of them.
Paul Martin, huge smashy, and all-around great guy who also gave me Cubs tickets. There's a good way to bribe me. Gave me some Cubs tickets last year. It was his birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to you, Paul. And I see you're out on the board, so great to see. And I'm going to continue with a couple other quick shout-outs. Yesterday, when I was filming the final round over at the Minnesota Majestic, a gentleman reached out to me that morning and said, hey, if you're looking for a catch cam, I could volunteer my services or myself. And I said, sure, let's do it. I'm easy like that. I'll take help wherever I can. So Travis Lamberton said that he could do it. He was out at the course. We met at Blue Ribbon Pines. At the time, it was raining out when we first got together. Thankfully, that all cleared literally minutes before our tee time went off, unlike the women's or unlike J Ray's and the Masters. It cleared, and Travis was out there. So thank you so much. We're going to, part of the giveaway tonight, I'm going to include a little extra action. Let me grab it.
Shout out to Mr. Shaggy for $5 super chat.
Thank you, Shaggy.
Some Monday Night Madness.
He loves it.
Great.
Sticking with a Minnesota theme, 6-1 Deuces, I believe they go by. We've got some sweet vinyls and decals. You probably can't see that real well, but they do all sorts of vinyls and decals. They're doing them for a bunch of our various entities within disc golf. They just want to help you out. They're doing great stuff, and I'm going to give these away along with the rest of our giveaway tonight. So thank you guys. Thank you, Travis and crew. We really appreciate it. And thank you for being a catch cam. I haven't had a chance to go over the footage, so I can only thank you so much. I'm not sure how good your footage was, but regardless, I really do appreciate it.
Probably better than what mine would have been. So
Probably. So the bar was...
set the bar low and just hope to exceed it.
So, all right. So there's some shout-outs. And then real quickly on a slightly on a very much more somber note, I just... the Milwaukee area lost a disc golfer yesterday. I just found out about it a little earlier today. Over the weekend, it sounds like, and I don't know any details, and frankly, that doesn't matter to me. The point is, we lost a really kind soul. He played in a number of my tournaments. He's played leagues. He was always a super nice guy to be around. So Joel Kamoski,
really?
We'll miss you, buddy. And
for sure.
Sorry to hear that. Obviously, loved from the entire disc golf family here in Milwaukee area and beyond. Joel was an incredibly solid advanced player that played a ton in advance, then got into the pro division and was just always nice and supportive and just an all-around really nice guy. So sorry to hear that. But all right, we're going to move on.
All right.
What, as we move on into the results, our good friend Brett Comensoli, I think, made a post today saying something like, here's a screenshot of the 15 or 18 or 13 or 20 tournaments that were taking place on this month in 2003. Is that what he posted? And then he said, a busy weekend for disc golf. As I just counted, there were over 100 tournaments all these years later, 100 tournaments this last weekend taking place that were PDGA sanctioned. So that speaks to the growth and the opportunities that we have to play disc golf. So go ahead. I just wanted to say that as you lead into one of the many A tiers that took place this weekend.
Yeah, we had a few A tiers come out this weekend to play, and we had a couple A tier players come out to play. The 2018 St. Louis Open, sponsored by Dynamic Disc out of St. Louis, Missouri, as the name says, taking down the victory. Kevin Jones beating the local, as much as you can call him that these days, Nicola Castro. He's kind of a free soul. He goes wherever he wants to. Yeah, but taking him down by 2 strokes. Kevin Jones shooting 1042, 1029, and a 1031, taking home a $1,340 paycheck. As I said, Nico took second, followed by Colton Montgomery, Grady Shue, Bradley Williams in fifth, tied with Aaron Walther. So congratulations to you guys on shooting well at the St. Louis Open. I've played that event one time when a couple of us went down there. It was me, our buddy Mike, Steve, and our buddy Kazi played the St. Louis event many years ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. You skipped it the year I went.
Yes, we went earlier. We went on different years. It was pretty funny. That's the year we taught Mike Schwieger how to drive stick because we wanted to play cribbage in the back seat and he didn't know how to drive. So we said, here's a quick lesson. You get on the highway and just go. So not too tough. So congratulations to Kevin Jones getting a nice big victory there. In the open women field, Ellen Widboom wins with a 27 over par, shooting an 888, 921, and an 862, taking home $515. Second place, Tiger Borth, one of the great names, shooting a 30 over par, but declining cash, it appears. So moving down to third, the cash goes to Courtney Cannon for $310. So a 5-women field, $515 for first, $310 for second, so to speak, or third, as you want to call it. That is some solid payout for a 5-person field.
Definitely treating him very well. Tiger, I think, reached out to me, said, we'll see her in Michigan this upcoming weekend. She's in fact from Michigan. Ellen, and I don't know the whole story, I caught a glimpse of something to do with either a misplay or a scoring mishap. There was something that happened that was not in her favor that ultimately cost her a stroke or two. So I think her margin of victory would have been a little bit bigger. However, it sounds like she was ultimately assessed some form of penalty. I apologize. I don't know the entire story. I just know that there was something. So in theory, she even had a couple more strokes there. But solid play and solid win for Ellen this last weekend. And to follow that up, we're hoping to get Ellen on commentary at some time very soon for our FPO coverage on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. I know that's in line with something we're working on, so stay tuned. She's a great story. She quit her job to go on tour full time this year, and she's no dummy. She's a smarty. She quit her very good job to go on tour. So
on that note, a friend of the show reached out, Disc Golf Nerd reached out today, and I'm sorry if I'm going to break a little news here, and I don't know if he really wants me to say anything, but I'm going to.
Monday exclusive, July 2nd, mofo.
Lost his job today.
Oh.
So,
I set that up perfectly.
I know you did.
He's going to go full-time disc golf reviews.
So what I'd like everyone to do is go out, give a little support out to Disc Golf Nerd. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. He helps us out here. Terry has a big fat exclusive when actually I'm just going out there to say, you know what? Give one of our own a little support. So good luck out there to Disc Golf Nerd. Figure out something to do there. Get us some more reviews there, and maybe we can work some stuff out. So Let's quickly move on to the Masters before Terry sits his foot any further down his mouth.
That's an exclusive. I don't take that back.
It is an exclusive. Slapping down the other old men was George Smith, shooting a 12 under, winning the division by 5 strokes over Roger Reyes. So, and taking home in a 14-person field $760. I'll say this. If you get the chance, go play the St. Louis Open. It's a great event, and it has great payout. So congratulations to all those guys. We're going to move way up north to Anchorage, Alaska. This event's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The King of the Hill this year brought in 80 players with big names such as, and we'll go in order of how they won, Chandler Fry shooting a 56 under par, beating Will Schustrick by a single throw. Will shot a 55. It looked like Chandler's round ratings were 10-19, 10-29, 10-03, and 10-13. So just a hair underneath of his rating, but ultimately 56 under par, nothing to scoff at. Like I said, Will Schustrick, Austin Hannum, Dylan Kuntz, Nick Wood, and Brian Schweberger taking 6th place. So
Schwebby finally being dethroned. He's been going up there for a couple years.
It's been a big. He's been pushing the event as he's a vocal, a very outspoken guy about it. But I'm sure there's just a twinge of, why did I have to open my big mouth? This is a well-paying event, and now everybody knows about it. So congratulations to Schwebby. I mean, I know you took 6th, but ultimately it's your word of mouth. I know Terry was there 2 years ago. 2 years ago, helping spread the word of this particular event. Great event as well. So congratulations to everyone there. Open women, Amy Lewis bringing home the trophy at 34 over par. Congratulations.
Beating out?
Shanasty Stewart.
Shanasty. Just my favorite name.
It is a great name. A great name. Pro Masters, David Feldberg beating David Fielding.
No way.
I had to look at it twice. I was like, did they have Feldberg in there twice? No. David Feldberg beating David Fielding. David Feldberg shooting a 24 under par, and David Fielding shooting a 12 under par. So congratulations up there in Alaska at the King of the Hill. We're going to move over to, we'll save, you have probably a lot of information about the Majestic, so we'll save that for last here. So we're going to move over to the other side of the pond, as they say, the Latitude 64 Tyyni, sponsored by Dynamic Disc. This is out of Sippo, Finland. I'm not going to pronounce any of the tournament directors' names. Tunee?
Yep, just Tunee is the easiest way to. I've seen it phonetically spelled out, so I'm cheating a little, but it's just Tunee.
Tyynni is pronounced Tunee?
It's all I know is I've seen it spelled out Tune.
I've heard,
and then EE.
I'd heard someone else say teeny, which is why I said it that way. All right, so Tunee.
Don't accuse them of being teeny.
They might look teeny, but they're clearly Tunee.
Yes.
No surprise in this one. Ricky Wysocki, 33 under par, beating the field by 8 strokes, taking down Greg Barsby and Seppo and Philo and Devin. A good turnout at this particular event. Ricky taking home $1,402. You usually see on this type of event some a little bit funny numbering due to conversions. We don't always see events end in like 2 or 3 unless there's a split tie or something along those lines. So congratulations to Ricky. Let's look at what his round ratings were. 1057, 1052, 1067. Ricky getting into some midseason form right now, all above his rating. So congratulations to Ricky. Greg always does well overseas. He's one of those guys that if you're playing fantasy and he's on the other side of the Atlantic or probably the Pacific, it's a good idea to pick him. Let's move down to the Open Women.
Or the Baltic. Or he's on the other side of the Baltic.
The Indian Ocean?
Somewhere over
maybe?
There.
Okay.
I don't know.
If he's in the Antarctic, I'd pick him there too.
Yep.
The Open Women, Katrina Allen winning by 5 strokes over Kristen Tatar. Katrina Allen taking home $1,168, another really nice payout. Paige Pierce taking 3rd place by 11 strokes behind Katrina. Now that is...
And how many of those were relinquished during the final round? It looked like, was it 8?
8.
Yeah,
8
so
during the final. They were closer with that final, going into that final round, but clearly Katrina either shot a 949, so it's not even like she really put on the gas. It was more so Paige Pierce put on the brakes, shooting an 876 rated round. Hate to call that out, but ultimately That's what happened.
Just not Paige-like.
It's
so
not
it's
not
worth
Paige-like. She
mentioning.
shot a 966, a 945, and then followed it up with an 876 stinker. So I ultimately we'll see what happens. Those are always hard to say because going into 4 or 5 holes to go, you don't know what's happening. If you're down by 3 or 4, you really start running at things. I don't know if any of their footage was covered in post-production. I know there was some for the MPO division out at Tunee. I don't know if we're going to see any for the FPO. So congratulations to Katrina taking home a pretty nice victory. She had a really nice post on Facebook and maybe Instagram. I don't know how she double posts there or not, but saying about how she's starting to feel really good again. So, and that's a dangerous thing for any of the other female competitors. I'm sure that none of them want to see Kat get back into midseason form, but as spectators, we all do. And the Pro Masters, Ville Piippo, Piippo. So he took down the Masters field, shooting an 11 under par, a 966, 984, and 1,008 rated round, beating Tomas Kakuma and Eric McCabe. Eric McCabe shooting a 932 rated first round that really put him in the hole. He did dig out of that to shoot some the two hottest rated second and third round. So a 992 and 1,019. So congratulations to Ville taking home $713 on that for that victory. Finally, the Majestic. The Minnesota Majestic, about 4.5 to 5 hours from where we are, always gets a really good turnout. Good payout, great courses. Hot as balls this weekend.
Yeah, it was
brutal.
And I will go ahead and clarify. It was disgustingly miserable Friday in terms of the heat. I know it shifted.
Because I was going to say here it was Saturday that was brutal.
And exactly, because it shifted. It's about 5.5 or so hours from the Twin Cities here to the Milwaukee area. And it's just shifted over. So it was miserable on Friday. It was pushing well over 100 degrees with heat index.
Oh, yeah.
I think the humidity was 60 to 70%. So it was pretty nasty over there. They opened up at Kaposia Park. This is the MPO and the FPOs. And I believe all the pros, in fact. They opened at Kaposia, played a 24-hole layout over there. And then on Saturday, they went over to Bethel University, which was the first time I'd seen Bethel.
I've heard of it, but I'd never seen. I haven't seen it.
It's a great course. It starts out, I'll say, very very park-like for holes 1 and 2. And then as we were waiting for 3, I said to both Jordan Castro and I ultimately asked Kale, I said, "What's the distance of this course?" And then secondly, are like all the holes kind of like this? And then immediately the holes got tougher, starting on hole 3, which is a very challenging hole. Hole 3, hole 5 stick out right away, right after I had mentioned that. So they played 18 holes over there on Saturday. And then on Sunday, they went to the famed Blue Ribbon Pines. Ray Jordan.
Did they harden up the course at all, or is it still kind of soft?
It was very soft. In fact, slushy soft. And let me just tell you.
Because the rain that came through. Because we got the rain on
Saturday night, probably?
Saturday night, Sunday afternoon-ish, early Sunday morning.
Okay.
It off and on a few times, actually, around here. So.
Well, it was so it got pushed back from Saturday, late Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, and then it rained all the way through until the card I was covering teed off on Sunday, pretty much. So the 4 or 5 hours in the morning from 8:30 to about 1 o'clock, rain. J Ray over at DD said on the 4th hole, he's like, "I just purposely left my umbrella on the tee. It was useless." He's like,
that much rain.
It just sucked that much. He wasn't loving it. The women, Jason Wilder had told me that he was walking along. I think he was double or triple caddying on the women's side. He said that for the first 18 holes of their round, the rain was there, and then the last 6 it had cleared up. So by about 2 o'clock, 2:15 or so, when the second card was teeing off, then it finally started to clear, and then it was just flat out gorgeous, gorgeous the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. But that course is challenging, and they doubled up some holes, so some holes were definitely tougher than what we saw from the Pro Tour. They've got a lot of different options and configurations. There's so many different holes out there that they can change up all sorts of things on any given weekend, and some of which I really like, some of which I didn't, some of which really hurt the flow and how things get started. But overall, Blue Ribbon Pines is just this majestic, to use the term, but it's just this it's just this really magical place. To see what Ray and his staff, the work that they put into that place, and to know it's private property, but yet so many people enjoy it for so many reasons. The challenge of the course, the beauty of it, just the fun that's out there. They have a alcohol permit, I hope. They have an alcohol permit out there. It's just this really great atmosphere, and you really know you can enjoy disc golf when you're out there. Matt from UDisc, I ran into him and Daniel, and Matt's like, yeah, this is my home course. This is what I call home. And for those that don't know, Blue Ribbon Pines, I haven't checked the disc golf course review in a number of years, but for many years was in the top 1 or 2, or always fighting for one of the top few spots for best course in the country. I'm sure they're in the top 10 still. And you could all argue, where it should be within the top 10. It's just this great facility. I was covering second card. Travis, as I mentioned earlier, told me that he would come out and help. So I covered the second card. Parsave Productions, who's been putting out some really great stuff. Go find them on YouTube. A couple of Minnesota guys, based operation. They were on the featured or lead card throughout the entire weekend, so they'll have that from the lead card. All I can say was it was a really awesome atmosphere. It's great to be there. A lot of fun and a lot of good stuff. So let's start on the women's side real quickly. Actually, I'll start even in the Pro Masters. We'll read off a few. Some names you guys definitely recognize. Ultimately coming out on top was Shasta Chris, PDGA's own Shasta Chris. Chris Robertson in second. Don Smith finished in third. I see Brian Lagerin out there, a gentleman I've known for many, many years from Minnesota. J. Ray shot. He caught up when he was telling me the story about the rain later.
A 102 final round.
After he informed me that the Cubs had 29 hits on Saturday's game, which is insane.
Really? Wow. I didn't even know that.
He says, I shot 102 strokes that round. I don't know if this is the first time, but I shot an 885 rated round in an A tier, and I still cashed.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So it was. So J. Ray rounds out 7th place there. Nice round number of 7th place. On the women's side, they were battling. I know Sarah Hokum started out in front, but then she relinquished quite a bit of her lead come second round, and who came charging in was Madison Walker. So. When it was all said and done, Sarah Hokum ends up victorious by a single stroke, even though Madison Walker picked up, 9 strokes on her. 5 carry the 1. 9 strokes on her in the last 2 rounds. She apparently needed one more round because she came up just 1 short of Hokum. So Hokum, Team Legacy, is your winner. Madison Walker finished in second. Solid performance out there.
Great shooting, Mads.
980 and 965
she
rated.
She is really
last 2 rounds.
Finding her groove. It seems like the past couple events, she's been shooting some very, very good rated golfing rounds.
She has. Jessica Weiss in third, and then Wisconsin's own Holly Finley was over there. Again, very competitive field. And here's when you're looking at the top 4 scores, for instance, in the pro women division. Plus 11 wins, plus 12, plus 14, and plus 15. So the top 4 women all within 4 strokes after playing 24, 18, what is that? Nearly
200.
48, carry the 4.
87.
66 holes of golf or something like that.
Okay, that works too.
Very, very, very highly contested. So
you do your math, I'll do mine.
Pretty solid out there. And then in Open, if you're from the Midwest, you're going to recognize every one of these names, except for maybe the winner.
Except for the winner. I didn't know who he was.
Winner. But great group of guys, all in the top few cards, all guys Johnny and I have known for many, many years. And if you go anywhere near Iowa, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, you're going to see some of these names out there. Top few spots, Ben Kroll, BK as he's called, Garrett Gerthy, Ben Calloway, and Ben Kroll all ultimately finished in a tie for third. Garrett having one of the hotter rounds to jump himself up a few of those spots. Coming up just short was Kale Leviska.
Well, ultimately, Double G hurt himself that first round, shooting a 973. He proceeded then to shoot a 1070 and a 1050. So
yeah, and so he made his charge, just not quite enough. Kale finished in second, and then Alex Russell.
Who?
Out of Washington?
Yeah, Vancouver, Washington.
Traveling around, touring. He's on his way. I reached out to him today, said, hey, could we possibly get you on the show? And he said, I'm going to be en route heading over to the Disc Golf Pro Tour event. I believe he's, in fact, on one of the voting blocks for featured cards this weekend. So if you want to see more of him, go out and vote. Find the Disc Golf Pro Tour website or a Facebook page, and you could vote for him to see him out there. So taking it home, he was able to the final hole. Spoilers, too late. The final hole is an island hole, and he knew that he had a 2-stroke lead at that point, and he just pitched up short of the island, threw onto the island, and then tapped in. He had no business doing anything but that. So when you're able to walk one in like that, congratulations. The trophy is in a ginormous wooden cutout of Minnesota. It's got to be at least 3 feet tall, and probably it's got to weigh 50 pounds, probably. Okay, 25. It's a very beautiful trophy with a lot of incredibly talented individuals that have won that title. So for Alex to get his name etched on that, Ray Jordan says, "Here's the trophy," and he's like, "Oh, I don't know if that's going to fit in my car." And Ray's like, no. We put your name on it and it stays here. But it's just this gorgeous trophy, and he'll forever have his name on there. So congratulations. It was a great battle. Great to see. Thanks for all the hospitality. Aaron and Beth, I'm sorry that it didn't work out, that we couldn't get together one of these nights. Sometime when I'm there, it will. But just amazing hospitality. And lots of great people over there, and a lot of good friends. I saw Bobby Loretzen, and I saw Alan Hansen-Begg. I saw Katie and Kyle Pinkman. Just all sorts of people that I don't get to see that often.
No, since we stopped kind of going to the Wisconsin tour, where we used to see some of these guys, we'd see some of them hit, Greater Milwaukee or Standing Rocks, Northwoods. Over in La Crosse, Eau Claire area, we would see these guys. But seeing as how we're not on the tour really much anymore, we don't ever get to see them. So it's nice to be able to stop in and actually shake a hand or give a quick hug to.
Yeah, so really good people and great atmosphere over there. Get over to Blue Ribbon Pines. Get over to Minnesota, to the Twin Cities. If you wanted to play... If you're in the South and you want to get in as many courses in a 1 weekend time span, maybe you'd go to Charlotte. If you're
Mobile,
or if you're anywhere north at all, or in the Midwest, and you wanted to do that, there's a few places in Michigan, a few places in Wisconsin, or the Twin Cities. Any one of those, you couldn't go wrong. There's lots of great golf in the Twin Cities.
There's great golf in all the spots, but the Twin Cities has, I think, the most golf. So many courses,
concentrated focus
in such a small area.
For sure. All right. And last but not least, your advanced Masters champion, working on his 885 rating, is Johnny V. Big weekend. I am so sick to my stomach that I wasn't there for the post-round interview to ask you, how does it feel?
It felt all right. Now, it's kind of funny. I was very happy. I've been playing in the Wisconsin Tour for 21 years. Was my first stop. Fox Valley Open, 97. So 21 years, literally, I've been playing in the Tour. Never won a black disc. I took second a lot of times.
Quick interruption. Black disc is a special thing that the Wisconsin Tour has done.
That's over there somewhere.
In that anytime you win your division for a Wisconsin Tour event, which is one of anywhere from 12 to 18 events that make up the tour, you win what we call a black disc, which is every year they're customized additional discs that go along with whatever trophies or accolades you receive and other winnings, but it's a separate disc that's always by nature black, and it has a special commemorative Wisconsin Tour stamp on it for that year.
Every year, yeah.
And so winning a black disc is a pretty big deal within your division.
Especially if you're from Wisconsin. I mean, we've seen people come in and, you'll get Kale who'll come in from Minnesota and maybe
he doesn't care.
Doesn't care. Well, he's got a handful of them. Doesn't really care as much as someone who's from Wisconsin. So first, let me give a shout out to Mike Harrington, who ran the event. What we played on Saturday. I brought my son, and it was 90 plus degrees and just like an oven. It was not fun. And this course is not a short course. There's quite a few hills to walk up and down. There's some places that are just wide open, but there is a majority of holes that are relatively wooded, so it wasn't too bad with the shade. Mike Harrington and Patrick Blake, and there's somebody else I'm forgetting offhand. I did not walk up to one of the 3 or 4 water spots and ever have it out of water. Just phenomenal for this B tier. I can't give Mike enough credit for the way he ran the event. It was very well done. Everything went very smoothly. It just shout out to Mike for running that. So taking the open division, CJ King.
There were other divisions?
There were other divisions.
Seriously?
I'm gonna. We don't talk
Masters.
about. We don't talk about other ones. I only want to go through them because the gentleman I rode with won Masters division. Steve held
the Pro Masters.
The Pro Masters,
okay.
And then we'll skip advanced. Yes, Amateur Masters. I did take home the victory. An 885 rating. I shot a 60, which is about course par. There's 2 or 3. There's at least 3 par 4s out there. They're kind of tweeners, but they would legitimately call par 4. So the first round was a 957. My second round, I shot a 64 we moved to the short pads. And you think, oh my God, you shot worse off the short pads. There's a few holes, and I'll say this, I think I told this to you. They have these pins in the maxed out position. So when you move to the short pads, it can make for some very awkward angles because you're not playing from the short pads to the maxed out pins isn't always the best move. And there are some holes there. I've never played the short, so I walked up to some of them kind of blind. They're kind of awkward in spots. I wasn't a big fan of 3 or 4 of them. I looked at them, I went, I would so much rather play the longs again. I think it's a much better course. But being an amateur, playing in the amateur division, I have no right to complain about what tees I play off of. So I took it with a grain of salt. I had a 3-stroke lead going into the second round. By the third hole, I had a 6-stroke lead. As all the guys in my card proceeded to bogey. There is it's hole 17, and I'm going to give a quick description of it. It's really kind of funny. It goes down from the short pad, it goes down about 150 feet, and then takes a sharp right through a tunnel, and about another 200 feet. There's one little tiny gap you can hit if you take a hyzer. If you can go over the top of it all. And from the short pad, it looked kind of appealing. I'd never tried it before because I don't have the arm from the long pad. And the wind was blowing kind of favorable. I threw up a monster shot and just shanked it. I mean, the wind took it so far left that it ended up to be a good shot. A mediocre, a decently shot. Only because I didn't even make it that far. Everyone else in my group, if I was them, would have said, oh, this is a chance for us to get some strokes. No, this is what happens when you play with a bunch of guys who are just having fun. Almost all of them tried to take the same shot as I did after watching me do it. 2 of the guys lost their discs, had to re-tee. So the one guy before the round who was razzing me, telling me he was going to catch me, was down by like 8 strokes after the first 3 holes. And we just in general had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. I was able, with like 4 holes to go, to kind of walk it in. I was able to lay up a bunch of 30-foot putts and not even have to run at them, take a 3 and a 4, knowing that I had 3 or 4 strokes to give. I ended up ultimately only winning by 1 because I was able to, again, on the last hole, just lay it under the pin from like 35 feet and let the guy who was, I laid it up for a 4. He had about 120 feet to an elevated pin with a headwind. So he was actually thinking about, as he probably should have, if he wanted the win, should have ran at it. He laid it up and dropped it in for his 3. I took a 4 and ended up winning by 1. I figured I had the opportunity to do that. So it was cool. It's a black disc. I'm very happy to have one. Like I said, I've been playing 21 years, never got one. I've taken second in amateur. I've taken second in advanced. I've never taken second in open. I've taken, top. I think I took 5th in a smaller open field once. But ultimately, I ended up getting my black disc. Not the division I ever thought I would, but ultimately it felt good. I was very happy. My carmate and I both had our own, both won our divisions. It was really cool to have my son there who walked the whole first round in the blazing heat. Second round, I said, you know what, dude? why don't you just hang out here at Tournament Central in the shade, read your book, play your little video game system. 3 holes into the second round, when I walked up by him, he was out cold, sleeping on the picnic table. I actually poked him to make sure he wasn't having some sort of heat issue because, like I said, it was like 95. I kind of woke him up and said, you getting enough to drink? Yeah, Dad. Okay, you're alive.
Yeah, Dad, I just passed out.
Put him back to sleep. It's really interesting playing and seeing where I used the U-disc the entire round, got all my personal stats, realized I shank sometimes, man. There were some holes out there that I should be able to deuce every time, 250, 240 feet straight ahead, and just grip locking things. And I don't play a lot of disc, but still, those are basic mistakes not even I should be making. I learned I need to, if I want to compete, I need to practice. I ultimately need to practice.
Practice is overrated.
Not that I'm planning on competing a lot, but it was interesting. No, cool one. I'm not going to go hole by hole. That would be a lot of that would be very boring for a lot of people, especially no one who's played. Although I will say the Zopel course, if you get the chance, it's up in Green Lake, Wisconsin. It's really out of your way, but it is a lot of fun to play. It's a good course from the longs.
Yeah,
the shorts, if depending where the pins are. Ultimately, a wonderful.
Yeah, rated as one of Wisconsin's nicer courses. If you ever get a chance to get over there, it's not on your way to anything, but it's worth going out of the way for at the same time. So good stuff. All right. Wow. When you start your GoFundMe for your Amateur Masters Tour, just let everyone know. They want to see you out there.
Yeah. I was going to say, there was a gentleman on my card who seemed like he was a little upset that I was playing Advanced Masters.
He didn't think you were rated high enough for that?
Apparently not. Being rated 885, I've told you this, and I think I've even told the people, our listeners this. I had 5 rated rounds under my belt. One of them was like a 970, 930, I think, an 880, and like 2 820s. Ultimately, it evens out to about 885. Well, he had never won in a particular event, and you could tell he was salty that I was playing in the advanced.
I was just hot, just sweat.
No, that I was playing in the Advanced Masters field because he felt I probably should be playing Pro Master or Open or maybe even Advanced. I have every right to play in the Advanced.
I was just going to say, I would politely disagree with him
I would
on
too.
your behalf.
I would too. And I will say this, after the first round when I shot a 957 rated round, I was like 3 strokes out of the Advanced lead. And I thought, wow, maybe I am kind of playing in the wrong division. Maybe I should be playing Advanced. Then I put up my second round, and I watched how many times I made really bad rookie mistakes, shanking some things, like I said, that I just absolutely shouldn't. And I realized, you know what, this is the right position for me. This is I'm in the right spot. But I think his issue was the fact that I used to be a pro player. I used to play in the Open division. I've played Pro Masters. And now I'm playing an Advanced Master position because of how little I play. And I kind of tried to explain it to him. He didn't seem he was too receptive to it. But I just think it's a funny thought when you know someone on your card is audibly unhappy with being beaten, and just the mentality of where a person should play. I do feel like if I got a couple rounds under my belt, I would have no problem moving up to Advanced or Pro Master. But for this first real tournament, two-round tournament of the year, I was pretty happy with where I was, as I think where I deserved to be. I told this to you as well. It felt a little disheartening laying up a few of those last shots, knowing that every time I laid up a putt from like 30 or 40 feet, not even gave it a run, I was costing myself 10 player rating points. And when you only have what will be 7 rated rounds, those make a huge difference. If I had 20 or 25,
play for your rating, man.
If I had 20 or 25, that could literally be the difference between, those 20 or 30 points could be the difference between 10 or 12 ratings point jumps. So I thought about it as I was laying them up, like, ugh, it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts, but I really, really want the win over the points.
You should have asked your group mates. Do you think I should lay this up?
You think I should lay this up?
They usually like that kind of play.
I will say, I played with Rustenhauser, who was a great guy, and I could have asked him. He's one of those guys where he knows he was having a lot of fun. He was the one that was razzing me, telling me how he was gonna beat me, and he was never in. He's like, I've never been in this position. I'm like, what do you mean? Behind. And I was like, wow. As we're warming up putting, I thought, like, that's pretty presumptuous. He's like, normally I win these divisions, or I've been in the lead and lost, but I'm rarely ever trying to catch somebody. He's a 936 rated advanced master, so it makes a lot of sense. And I said, well, good. I want you to try to catch me.
Yeah. Okay. And I have confirmed it. Advanced Masters, it's 935. So you can play in Advanced Masters as long as you're rated below 935.
Oh, Rustin's rated 936. I wonder if he signed up before a ratings increase.
I don't know. Sounds like.
Okay. So either way.
All right. Well, Johnny
happy.
D's your champion, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! If you'd like to just check in with him on UDisc, you'll see him on all the weekends of the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
I'll be doing clinics later.
He'll be hustling down the other dads that are out there, showing you guys how it's done.
This is how dads do it.
That's how you can. That's how you can find it out. So, all right.
I will say, I took all my winnings and I bought 2 Starlight discs and gave them to my kid. I was just like, I don't know what is
that's
here.
An advanced master champ.
I didn't know what was out there. There's so much plastic these days. I looked at it and it kind of was intimidating. And I'm like, I obviously I know the Innova stuff and I know the Discraft stuff, but there's so much. I know some of the dynamic disc stuff, but I looked at my kid and I thought, you need some plastic. So I think I bought him a Starlight Turn and a Starlight. Some other Innova disc, because that's what they had in the 140 plastic, and he loved it. He was sitting there throwing down forehand rollers, seeing how far he could get them, and it was really fun to see. So it's nice to be able to bring him out there. I'm trying to get him push him a little more into playing, but he also has an Air EMAC Truth now, which he really likes because it goes really straight for him.
Get out there and throw Mason.
Yeah,
that's stuff to do. Yeah, and
you're gonna be a
autographs.
giant kid.
He'll be doing those as well.
Yeah, Tim Courts, I will be doing a clinic on how to grip lock.
Yep. Yeah.
Hold on way longer than you should and throw it into bushes on the right where you should never be.
All right. And speaking of kids, as you just mentioned, also real quickly in our timestamps of the day, Josh and his wife Amanda Anthon welcomed their second boy to the world today.
Congratulations.
Isaac is his name. So by everything that I saw on Facebook earlier today, it looked like everything was good. So congratulations to Josh and Amanda Anthon, and it'll be interesting to see when we see Josh back out there. I'm not counting on him being at the GLO this weekend. But maybe I'll look up and see where we're going to see him again. I'm guessing we'll see him in a few months, probably, or another month or so. All right. What else did we see out there? I know one other thing that we kind of saw some of was, you referenced it earlier, the Tunee was taking place. They had UDisc, so thank you to Matt and Josh and the crew, and then, of course, everyone on site, being Europe's largest tournament ever. But they had that going on with UDisc live scoring. And then there was some live video as well, and the timing of it, because of where they were, the timing kind of matched up well for some here in the U.S., depending on if you're an early bird or not. The timing lined up in that 8 or 9 a.m. or so. You were able to get online and watch it, and they provided it all via Facebook Live. And I believe it was one gentleman that he had some kind of a stabilizer, a gimbal of sorts, so it wasn't shaky or being handheld entirely. And it sounded like he had some kind of a microphone, from what I could tell, and was doing it via Facebook Live. This is in no way a slight. I guess I was a little surprised in that when it was advertised that they were going to have live. Facebook Live is obviously still live, hence live's in the name. When I was informed there was going to be live, though, I think it's a fair assumption for all of us to say they mean something, some notch above Facebook Live or Instagram Live.
Not necessarily.
Is that fair? And this isn't a slight on them. It's just something that I was it's
just the way you interpreted it.
Yeah, it's the way I interpreted it.
I wouldn't say necessarily better than Facebook Live. I expected something different than just a camera on Facebook Live. Like we can push to Facebook Live as we are right now, and we can do.
They're what?
We could do. I expected a little bit more a higher production value than a single phone. Ultimately, I watched the first day. I didn't get a chance to watch Saturday clearly, but I did watch Thursday, and it was the course is gorgeous.
Yeah, like
it was well done. The gentleman who was doing the announcing, I'm not exactly sure who it was really good. So I really wish I could have had a chance to watch Saturday. I know they didn't do it Friday. They had some signal issues on Thursday, just a little bit, but it's a beautiful course.
I'm asking right now if any of our viewers were out there watching or listening or watching along with it. I'd be curious. Again, it just it was surprising to me, I think is the best. I think they did great in having it. I think it's just fair when you say it's going to be live. If it's going to be Facebook Live, I just think it's worth throwing in, hey, we're coming to you via Facebook Live. We're letting you know, because otherwise I think it's fair to assume it's not.
They did have
Facebook
the link
Live.
That it was Facebook, it could be found on Facebook, but I wasn't sure if that was just a Facebook was going to be like, hey, we'll tell you where to find it here, or if it was literally on there. And I don't know. It was,
and again, it was great, and I'm not complaining.
I would love to see more of that. I would love to see more people take the time and go out and do Facebook Live for events and get. Honestly, it's a good way to practice your announcing skills, because whoever did that, I'd be happy to have them on. Doing a Smashbox co-announcing with you.
Certainly, and by
really
all
bring
means,
up your game.
maybe at some point when someone says, "Oh, we're going to be live," maybe it will be just assumed that it's going to be Facebook.
Sure.
I just don't think we're there yet, and so when knowing it's the biggest tournament ever over in Europe, and all the tremendous efforts, I wrongfully assumed that there was going to be a little bit more of a production team around the concept. Again, not complaining. I was just a little surprised by that. So It was great that it's out there. I think about Minnesota. I met a gentleman, Johnny, I believe he goes by, and Seth Peak, Trick Nation out there. I know there was a handful of people walking around doing Facebook Live from the Majestic. Great. Also, I mean, again, the community that's out there is tremendous, and there were multiple people walking around doing live feeds throughout at least during the final round, and I think throughout the entire weekend.
Do you think we're going to get to a point where before a
we're
round,
out of business? Yeah.
No, not that. I know that's going to happen someday. Before a round, there should just be a general area like, hey, who's all going to be doing Facebook Live? Everyone
Let's
comes
coordinate
in.
it.
Let's coordinate it. Like,
yeah,
hey,
that would be nice.
Like, guess what? I plan on doing it, and I'm not sure how often I'm going to do it, but maybe I'll take the third card. Someone's like, oh, I'm going to try to do it like the whole round. Oh, why don't you take first card then?
Sure.
And I think that would be kind of cool to try to coordinate that type of thing.
I'd like to head that up.
Sure, you do that, Terry.
But it is a good idea, yeah, because you may have otherwise 2 or 3 people all following the exact same thing. So saw that out there, and then there was some confirmation out there, people talking about the Bethel University course again. A really, really great course that they played on. It was a unique format, and I'll admit, I heard a little bit of this in that sweltering heat on Friday. I heard Paige, and I heard Paige Bjerkes, that is, I think I heard Madison Walker at one point. I may have heard Sarah Hokum at one point, kind of talking about like, we're playing 24 holes today, which was insanely hot. We're playing 24, and then 18, and then 24. You play no course twice. It was a real test this weekend. I mean, that's obviously a lot of golf. What did I say? 66 holes, unique holes of golf out there. And then the heat and the conditions on top of it. Alex definitely earned the win that he got. That's for sure. As did Sarah Hokum and the rest of your winners out there. Good stuff. All right. I told the Websters to make sure that they Skype in from their wedding reception. So at any point, we may get the chicken dance or whatever crazy other things that they might have going on. So I'm just giving you that warning now. They really shouldn't, but if they did, we would take it. Because I'd love to see what they have going on.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about media, as we tend to do. It was announced today, or no, maybe it was announced actually a couple days ago, technically. But I know Ulta World put out an article and things. This year's PDGA Worlds is going to be covered additionally by a company called Outside TV. They are a more or less an outdoor enthusiasts television channel.
Sure. I heard Bear Grill will be there. Is that Bear
Grylls?
Grillis? Is that his name? Bear Grill?
You're
Bear
lying,
Grylls?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It says here, Outside TV is a video provider for the adventure, sports, and outdoor lifestyle category whose content is broadcast in more than 100 markets.
What?
We're broadcast in every market. We're on the internet. That represent over 61 million potential viewers. You can get the sense of the channel's content and style by checking out their YouTube channel. More details on the event's comprehensive media plan will be released as the event approaches. What has been announced so far is that they're going to do kind of a summary video as well as shot-by-shot coverage and player profiles for the event. So I don't know if they've got a poster here for Fall Fest talking about the live music and the World Championships and the Fiddlehead special edition can release for drinking. Ultimately, this is an outside person that is going to work with us, not us particularly, but when I say us, the PDGA, to help promote disc golf. My question is, and I just kind of thought of this, I wonder, much like ESPNU or E or 3, I'm wondering if the PDGA is paying for this. Or
it's a great question. Or if Smugs.
Or Smugs is paying for it, or if this is
outside sponsors, or I should say inside sponsors.
I know there was some. They did give some thanks to Innova and Discraft to help make this possible. So I'm wondering if it was sponsored. Innova's sponsoring one of the courses. Discraft is sponsoring the other course. So ultimately, and again, I don't think it matters in one slight bit. I think more exposure is better. I think having it on this channel could, show us to 61 million potential viewers, as their site says. So this is really cool. This is someone from outside of our sport getting shown something that we're doing. I kind of equate it to what we were doing with the FNTSY for a while. We're giving them we didn't pay. I'm not saying we currently did for outside. I don't know, but giving it to them who are on a couple local cable channels in certain areas and showing disc golf. I think that's similar to what this Outside TV is. So I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully we'll hear more about it in the next couple months as Pro Worlds comes up.
Yeah, I would certainly be interested. We've seen and heard of rumblings throughout a number of years about different entities covering and then possibly giving us further exposure on far-reaching channels. I know Disc Golf Planet, then Beach Sports Network. I'm not sure. There was another iteration of it. I know a couple of different times they had some connections to some network television and to some exposure on some big cable channels and other outlets. I'm hopeful that this is as or more fruitful than those even, because I'm not sure we saw a resounding response, or
we didn't really
at all. And I feel like there was even a few times where there may have been things that were talked about. I remember some of those competitors being interviewed right around either Worlds or GBO. It was in Emporia a few years ago. There was kind of this production taking place, and I feel like I saw the same thing taking place at the St. Jude event a few years ago. But then I personally never saw it come to fruition on the grander scale, which is where I felt like it was promised we would see it, and that is what I'd like to see happen. And maybe it did, and I'm just incorrect with what I've seen or not seen, or I missed it. But I feel like I hope this means something.
I do too. I do too.
We also can throw a lot of ideas up against a wall, and hopefully one of them sticks. But I hope this one has some validity to it, which I believe it does, and I want to see something come of it.
It's a small cable channel, and that's based around outdoor television, and we fit that bill. So someone hopefully knows somebody that says, "Hey, would you like this content?" They're doing shot-by-shot coverage, which to me sounds like, and would only be the smartest thing, would be to take, because I think they're probably the top in our game right now, just take Jomez shot-by-shot coverage, give it to them, and say, here is your shot-by-shot coverage. Have them fit it into whatever time. When I was doing cuts for FNTSY, there were specific timetables I had hit. If it was going to be an hour and a half, I had to cut it down to, no more than 68 minutes or something so they could fill X amount of commercials. do that. Give them the Jomez stuff or CCDG, but it's probably going to be Jomez knowing how this particular year has gone. Let Jomez do all the cutting, all the special graphics that they have and stuff, and hand it to them. I don't know if they're going to have like Germ and Nate do commentary, but to me, it would make the most sense to have people who know what they're doing as far as editing do the shot-by-shot stuff and just hand it to outside and say, here is our cut. Here are the spots where you can put commercials in. We've created nice, clean edit points. Have at it. That makes the most sense to me, and I hope that's what they're doing. I hope Outside TV isn't going to take raw footage and cut it together themselves, although that would be interesting to see how an outside source would do that. I think it's the best plan is to have Jomez give them a cut version.
It will be, yeah, and it's too bad. I know we're throwing everything out of whack being a Monday night. Normally, Chris Young is incredibly active on our board, and Chris being one of the core people over there at Smugs, along with Jeff and others. But Chris is usually very active on the board, and I haven't seen him chime in with anything, so he must not be here present at the moment. He's probably sitting in his chair yelling all the answers whenever he does listen to this later. I'm incredibly interested to find out more details as well. So whether we hear directly from Jeff or we hear more from the media, say at PDGA, like a Steve Hill or Marty Gregoire, maybe there'll be further explanation from them. Maybe we just have to sit back and wait and see as to what unfolds. But I'm certainly curious to hear more so that we can spread the good word of whatever it is. You're exactly right, though. Our sport is not easy to just take. Even the best quality cameramen that might have 20 years of filming experience and say, okay, go stand behind the basket at Smuggler's Notch on hole 9. Good luck. Good luck when Eagle throws the sky hyzer, when Nate Sexton throws the low forehand skip burner shot. Coling decides to throw an overhand, and then somebody throws the lazy hyzer, the soft hyzer on a hole. Like, good luck giving some random cameraman, even with the most experience, but none in disc golf, say, yeah, follow those shots. It's just seriously, it's not going to happen in a very good fashion. So you're right. Having cameramen that have an idea from whatever crew. Hey, I'll quit Smashbox. I'll go there for the week.
And as a slightly selfish thing, I really hope they don't have additional cameramen on the lead card. I would hate to see.
It's going to continue to clutter things
I
up.
would hate to see our two guys, the Jomez or CCDG guys, and then this Outside TV guys. That to me makes no sense. I think you either cut out. Sorry, Jomez. You either cut out Jomez and have just the outside guys, or the smarter move is to use Jomez for that stuff. So we're going to learn more. We'll find out more. We've been in communication with Steve Hill about doing live world stuff. So ultimately, we're going to get that stuff figured out. I'll probably ask him at some point. I'm sure he has more info. Jeff Spring as well.
Yeah, we'll get it talked about on the board. They're saying Outside TV covered pro motorcycle hill climbing, another obscure sport of mine, and did a great job.
Great.
Yeah. Dare I say, hey, and I'm not about, I'll run the risk of oversimplifying things. If there's a track, they're going a certain height on or off of a dirt track, and you're going around a defined track. There's nothing defined about disc golf when it comes to filming some of those things. I think of so many sports that would be, in my opinion, I'm going to sound like an idiot maybe, would be a cakewalk to cover.
Compared to disc golf.
I think of bowling. I think of darts. I think of even basketball, football. At least it's on a court. Yes, there's a lot of things going on, but it's in a very confined space. Disc golf is so not like that. And just because everyone's so individual when it comes to their throws and their styles, and just flat out being right or left-handed, just makes such a world of difference.
And that kind of rolls into what somebody had said on the board when they said they saw the Tear Deck article that came out about us, a little navel gazing here. I told everyone that I did an interview with, you not know that term?
No, I do. I was thinking about gazing at my navel. Oh, that's all.
Can we see our navels anymore? We're getting old and fat. So anyway, Tear Deck, the company that does a lot of our tech stuff on top of our cameras, did a really nice article about SmashBoxxTV and its sole owner, me,
Yes. If you guys didn't know, I'm no longer part of SmashBoxx, or never was part of SmashBoxx.
They showed your picture.
Which I had to dig up for you, I think.
No, I got that from the Flickr account. The funny thing is, there's a really nice article from Pterodach about SmashBoxxTV. They interviewed me. I gave them a bunch of information. They neglected to mention Terry anywhere. I did proofread the article and didn't even think about it when I proofread it. I just looked like, oh yeah, all that stuff sounds really good. They made me sound nice and smart because some of the quotes that are in there aren't exactly what I said word for word. I think he took a little bit of liberty, which I looked it over. It all sounded more or less what I said, just flowered it up really nicely. Used some pictures from on the course and whatnot. And then after I shared it, I realized, oh yeah, like they never once mentioned Terry. And then I thought, I don't feel bad, as there are so many times that people confuse SmashBoxx with the disc golf guy and Terry and neglect to even think about me and being behind the scenes. And I thought, this is a tech related thing. I'll take this one. You can deal with this, a lot of the other stuff. But ultimately,
I pull the domain because I own it.
You do own the domain. So ultimately, it's a really nice article. If you look up TERADEK, Pterodach, out on their blog or on Facebook, you can find it out there. Very cool. We're working with them maybe to get some equipment for testing for sure, their new stuff, but maybe even some sponsorship opportunities in the future. So be on the lookout for that.
All right. Well, so it'll be interesting to see how Worlds unfolds. There is conversation, post-production, live production, all of that still out on the table and getting discussed. And of course, we'll continue to bring it to you as it unfolds and gets finalized here with SmashBoxxTV. So look for that. Also, look for on the PDGA news. I think we might have talked about it last week, but go out. If you're a PDGA member, you should have received an email again letting you know that you can vote for the PDGA Board of Directors. I believe also there was on the PDGA podcast, there was a little bit of a breakdown with some of the PDGA Board of Directors. What are they called? People that you vote for, the candidates. That's a big word.
I didn't know what word you were looking for. I'm like, you said board of directors. Isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah. So the candidates and people that you can vote for, I believe they did some kind of a breakdown. What do they call it? A special edition, radio episode 20, elections special. So go out. That'll give you some insight, I'm guessing, as to, some of the candidates that are available. And just make sure you vote. As always.
I already voted.
Okay. Good work. Who'd you vote for?
You.
Oh, good. You write me in 3 times?
I wrote you in for all of the things.
Exactly. That's a good call.
No. I'm not going to tell you who I voted for, but I did vote.
You shouldn't.
So
I don't want to know.
We don't want to give... no one has paid us, so we're not going to be biased towards anybody.
Now,
if someone were to sponsor us, like Justin Menichelli, I would be happy to then support you as a candidate. But until you do, I cannot throw my support behind any particular individual person.
Yes.
I am not above being bought. A couple other things on the PDGA news. 2020 PDGA majors, they're looking for all sorts of hosts. Basically, all the majors, I believe they say hosts sought for all 2020 PDGA majors. There is.
Okay, when I tried clicking on it today, I couldn't get it to come up. Maybe my phone just wasn't working. But it basically lays out, it's great because it gives you the bid documents, and they're looking for essentially all of our PDGA-owned majors, which include the U.S. Women's, the U.S. Masters, Pro Worlds, Pro Masters Worlds, Am Worlds, are all listed in there. So
not Junior Worlds.
Junior Worlds are already going to be in Emporia.
So they lied when they said all.
Well, they didn't. Where did they say all?
All 2020 PDGA majors.
All right. Oh, edits are needed.
PDGA staff, get on the game.
So if
Marcus Burks brought it up. They didn't mention 2020 juniors. You're right, exactly.
Yes, the 2020 juniors are already going to be 18, 19, and 20. Yes, that'll be the last year for now that they're scheduled to be in Emporia. Speaking of Emporia, I believe I'm going to be going there. So we'll talk about that maybe a little bit next week. But I think I'm going there next week, and I'm excited to see some of the junior action that will be taking place as we're over there.
So 2020. If you're interested in hosting, or your club or your area thinks you can host a 2020 PDGA major, reach out to the PDGA, look at those documents, and really dig in deep, because it is not a small undertaking by any means. We should host 2020 something.
A 2020 special is about the closest thing we would host. Yeah. Anyway. This weekend, of course, coming up, we're going to be back with the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We're in this great swing where now it's in every other weekend kind of thing for a few weeks.
Yeah, we've got this weekend, DGLO. Then we go to, in 2 weeks, Ledgestone. 2 weeks after that, Idlewild. Is that right?
Sure.
Or is it Idlewild then Ledgestone?
No,
I think it's Ledgestone.
Idlewild is the 19th through 19th or the 20th through the 22nd of July.
So then it is going to be
DGLO,
Idlewild, then Ledgestone.
Correct.
Okay. And then Vibram, or MVP, Isle Buck. Sorry, MVP Open.
MVP Open 2 weeks after that, exactly. So a really great stretch coming up with every other weekend having live.
Really good live disc golf. It's a good thing we are the only media providers at any of those events. There will be no post-production. It's just live, so make sure to tune in. Don't ask Jomez or CCDG if they're going to be there. Just assume they're not. It's just
you're going to get people worked up. And speaking of worked up, that actually brings me to maybe my final agenda item of the night. And maybe this would almost be after show fodder, but it's not. I'm just going to go out there. People are losing their damn minds over the fictitious fantasy edit.
Oh, God, yes.
That Steve Dodge put together. So I'll set it up for you guys. Ricky Wysocki had a really good final round at Utah Open. Paul McBeth had a really good final round at the Utah Open. They were on two different cards. Ricky was on lead card. He won. Paul McBeth was on second card. He didn't win. Steve Dodge has great ideas and has some not so great ideas.
I think this is a great idea.
Okay, well, he took this idea and he said, I'm going to take the edited footage, which he, by the way, has a contractual approval or right to. I'm going to take the edited footage of Ricky Wysocki's round and the edited footage of the CCDG round, and I'm going to pretend like Ricky and Paul are playing head-to-head in a match play format. All right? It is completely fictitious. It is completely exhibition.
It's different.
Fake exhibition. And people have lost their... Now, if you want to argue that you don't like his music, okay. You want to argue you don't love his commentary, okay. But the concept...
That's not how match plays play.
The concept was just for fun. And I'm sorry, I do not understand. If you don't like it, you could have hit end after 30 seconds or after 60 seconds. It's 15 minutes long. It's Ricky versus Paul in a fake matchup that was labeled a fantasy match play exhibition. It was for entertainment purposes.
The complaints were, as I was whining away from the mic jokingly, that's not how match play is played, Terry.
No, it's not.
Because
match play is also not played from two different cards. All right.
That there are certain spots where someone may have laid up or someone would have had to run at it. And then someone asked, well, how come Eagle wasn't involved?
Eagle, I think, asked.
Oh, really?
At one point.
And Dodge said, because if I would have picked you, it would not have gone to the whole 18th hole. It would have been done after 17 holes. I wanted to do a complete story to the 18th hole, which is why I did not pick you, Eagle. Clearly, there was no agenda there. It was just a logistic issue between Paul and Ricky because those two rounds went the full 18. I personally, as much as, again, it doesn't matter, it means nothing. It's just a fun imaginary experiment. I like the idea. I like the concept. I even thought the execution was pretty good.
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
If you've seen some of Steve Dodge's edits and commentary in the past, you should stand up and give him a little standing ovation, knowing that the bar was set relatively medium and he exceeded it. Congratulations, Steve. Ultimately, I liked it. I will say this: I watched 8 minutes of it, turned it off. This today, never,
and then you rage typed
and never got back to it. I don't know if I ever will, but
Nah.
I think the concept is fun. It's not groundbreaking. It's not anything out of the ordinary. It's not anything that's going to break the internet. It is just fun. And take that for what it is. Don't be the guy or the girl who goes on there and is like, it's not what match play is. It's not worth it to you or to anybody else that has to read those comments.
It is what it is. I'll leave it at that. I've said my piece. I just don't understand the outrage over a fun, edited piece that's also harmless. It wasn't out there making any egregious or outrageous or outlandish stretches of humanity or of our existence. It was for fun, and it was a little experiment. I just don't understand the outrage over this fun little experiment that was, and I think the key word to me is it was harmless. Nobody's. I'll just leave it. It was hard. Yeah, I'm complaining about.
As Fabian says, the complaining about the complaining. Correct.
I'll just say I don't understand. I just don't understand that uproar. It has so many dislikes. It has plenty of likes and plenty of views and watches. Someone said, "Man, that'd be awesome if they really had a match play tournament." It's called there's the World Match Play that's taking place.
It's not taking place.
Well, there will be a World Match Play
Next
taking
year.
place. There's kind of how the Disc Golf Pro Tour finale will end. There's
hybrid. Yep.
There's how the Players Cup years ago when this happened. Things like that have happened.
The Vibram, and I'm going to say Vibram because it was in the past, used to do that. Have a match play for the championship thing, right? Was that a Skins? I think that was a Skins actually.
There used to be Skins before the event.
Yeah, the championship Skins. I'm sorry, not match play.
that was Skins.
It was
that
a championship
played.
Skins. So
Which
that's
is
a kind of
similar but different version.
A modified match play type thing. But agreed. So ultimately, sure, if you want to go out and complain on YouTube, you have every right to. It's just I think
I don't understand it. That's my point. I don't understand it. All right. So that was the other quick. I think that was the only other thing in my notes is I wrote people losing their damn minds. It doesn't make sense to me. All right. Go ahead.
Wrong. I want to shake my head at Cool One. I think we talked about this last week about the T2 baskets.
Oh,
they're good baskets. They're fine. You hit them in the middle. You hit them hard. They work. They're slightly different style than other baskets that you hit in different positions and will spit in different areas. Every basket has a weak spot, no matter which one it is. There's not a perfect basket. The T2s are a great basket. You just have to know where to hit them.
I'll say this. Let me follow that up and say I watched.
And they're stiff chains
out at Blue Ribbon Pines, and I don't remember exactly.
They don't.
They now have newer Prodigy baskets. I don't know if they're T2s or not, T1s or T2s. I'm going to assume T2s because I think they're relatively new, and I think they're on almost every hole out there. I did not witness a single.
BRPS T1, says Eric.
Oh, okay.
The new
Thank you.
T1s.
Okay, sorry. So, but I'll follow that up and say I did not witness a single spit out that should not have happened or that happened. I did not witness a single one this weekend at Blue Ribbon Pines on whatever those Prodigy baskets were.
And I'll add to that. When I won this weekend, there were no spit putts.
No. Those are Disc Kings by a company in Wisconsin. But thank you. I love the callback. That's what was important there.
I figured put a cherry on top.
Just every 15 minutes, it's in the show notes to re-mention Johnny's Advanced Master win from this weekend.
It had been at least 45 minutes since we mentioned it.
At least. All right. I don't really have a heck of a lot of other stuff. Again, we're moving over to, I think I said this a long time ago, we're moving over to Michigan for this weekend.
We don't know the signal quality.
We don't know that.
One or two tests.
What we do know, I will say, a little bit of a disappointment's a tough word to say in this case, but the star power will be slightly less this weekend in Michigan because a ton of our players are still overseas. I see Paige Pierce overseas, Ricky Wysocki overseas. so on and so forth. So our number one woman in the world, and I believe Katrina is still going to be over there.
My number one woman is my wife.
That's...
Is she listening?
Kyle.
She's upstairs.
Simmer down, Kyle. Yeah, I believe both Katrina and Paige are not competing this weekend. I don't know if you can confirm that.
I can confirm it.
Yes, Katrina nor Paige. And somebody else had mentioned on the board, we don't see Nate and Val.
That's a little...
The Doss Jenkins
I think,
household.
honestly, I thought I heard Nate was on the waiting list.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I thought I read that on the totally legitimate Facebooks that Nate was on the waiting list and that there are people on registered currently that are overseas because they probably registered for the whole year of the Pro Tour and they have yet to confirm that they're not going to be there. So we might see some people get in that are not currently in. I can't say for sure that Nate's on the waiting list. I don't know, but that is what I am fairly certain I read on a completely not related to anything website to the Pro Tour other than a Facebook page.
I'm going to go ahead and say, in speaking with Nate a few weeks ago and interacting, I think at the Beaver State Fling, he had just mentioned that the reality is they are full swing, in full swing and working on their developing their brewery, and that they now have a physical location. Demolition and remodel of the building has already begun. I've been sent pictures of it. And I think they're fully immersed in that and taking that on head on. So
it's my pictures, Doss.
I'm going to go ahead and say that
I can help you with some tech stuff.
That's the case.
You're a little rusty right now.
I don't think it has anything to do with, so to speak. Being
I don't think it necessarily does either. Someone says Nate was on the list a month ago, and now he's no longer.
Yeah,
on. So
I was under the. I would put all my money on the fact that they just simply are not able to come because they're focused 100% on the brewery at the moment. I have a hard time saying brewery. It's a tough word.
You almost have to just like slur it together as it should be slurred. It's the word brewery. All right. Here's what I'll say. A little Skip Ace insider info. Don't sleep on Ragna. She is a force to be reckoned with. I would not be surprised if she wins this. It's going to be tough to beat Madison, Weiss, or Holcomb, but Ragna is a phenomenal golfer who is very regional because of family. And this is right in her backyard. I am really excited that I'm hoping we get to see a lot of Ragna on some lead card action for FPO because she is fun to watch. She can throw a mile and she's extremely deliberate and accurate. So ultimately, it lists her home city as a city not in the United States, but ultimately she lives in Michigan. Yes. So do not sleep on Ragna. She will be a force to be reckoned with at this course. And it's no surprise she's the second highest rated player there, but make sure to I would definitely throw her in the picks.
Tim on the board had said who's going to win Advanced Masters. I mean, it's wide open. Johnny's not there.
I'm not there, so I don't
really
know if I can say
anyone could possibly win it. And your follow-up cool one says, who cares is exactly right. I'm just kidding. I care. I'm guessing, actually, the advanced portion of the event is probably complete, maybe last weekend? I don't know. From the DGLO.
Well, they're lucky I had to broadcast.
I mean, exactly. And Marcus, thank you for the super chat. Marcus just chimed in with $10 for our super chat, saying we're the best podcast in the biz.
Ooh, eat that.
If you're saying we're the best one on Tuesday nights,
eat that disc golf show.
People answer men.
Just kidding. Nick's a big fan of ours. I'm a big fan of theirs. So,
but thank you, and we'll see you in Emporia, and your daughter Lucy. Wish her the best of luck next week. Looking forward to it. All right, Johnny. I don't have a lot more. I think we can actually kind of wrap things up. I don't even know if we have anything for an after show. Do you?
We have Patreon stuff we have to give away.
We got Patreon stuff. We'll for sure have to come back for that and give away some free stuff. I guess it wouldn't be the same if we didn't do at least that tonight. So we'll make sure to come up with that and some other topics that you guys can submit and bring to us from the board here on this wild Monday night, the Webster wedding night I shall never forget it. All right.
We can talk more about my round.
Yes. That is definitely what we're going to do is a shot-by-shot, hole-by-hole review. Go out, find Zobel.
Disc by disc. I'm going to actually do a live in the bag.
Oh, my gosh. They've been clamoring for it since never. Go out, find Zobel's map, and Johnny will walk us through every single hole, or he won't. All right, guys. We do appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of you realized that this is a crazy. It's Monday night as opposed to Tuesday night. We wish you, of course, the safe and happy 4th of July come Wednesday, and if that starts early for you on Tuesday and carries into Thursday or the weekend, all the same, be safe. Don't stick your fingers into too many lit fireworks, and
keep all your fingers, please.
Keep the majority of them at least.
And if you're gonna lose one, lose it on your non-throwing hand.
That's the pro tip.
That is
SmashBox
a pro tip. Reach for the firecracker with your non-dominant hand.
Exactly. That is the way to do it. And then make sure you log in for live disc golf on the Disc Golf Pro Tour as we bring you action Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Milford, Michigan, over at the Kensington Metro Park. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been podcast number 202. We'll see you in a few moments when we give away some stuff because we love you guys so much. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 202 After Show. I know. As soon as I say 202, I immediately know in my head it's 202. So for any of those grammar police out there,
people really care.
Some people do. It kind of it bothers me sometimes. I listen
it doesn't
to
bother me ever.
I listened to a commercial, a radio commercial this weekend while driving around in the Minneapolis Twin Cities area, and I heard them call out their 10-digit phone number, which included, as they said, an O. And I just thought, really? Like on an actual, produced commercial? Just thought it was a little odd. I understand most people don't care. I'm far from a dialed in, we'll say, completely, perfectly, grammatically correct person. I try, even though I fail. Anyway, Johnny's up grabbing a quick beverage here. We're going to go ahead and interact with everyone from the board as usual. This is the after show where we talk about anything that may or may not be related to disc golf, and it is our best chance to interact with everyone from the board. We have a ton of regulars. I see Amp Style. I see Lady DMC, I see Eric Bush and Tim Courts and so many others that are out there. If you have a question for us, clarification, you want to tell us how wrong we were about something, please feel free. Now is the best time to do it during the after show. And most importantly, in the after show, it's a giveaway. We'll be giving away some sweet action tonight. I think we're giving away... Oh, yeah, we're already giving that away. So tonight, what part of what we're giving away, thanks to 6-1 Deuces, are a couple of vinyls. If you're from Minnesota, even better because they're Minnesota-based. We have, I like this. This is a Throw Deuces vinyl. So this isn't like a regular, sticker. Stickers are going to peel and fade and not be so good on your cars or outdoors or whatever, or on your water bottle. These are actual vinyls. High quality vinyls. So we've got a Sweet Basket one. We got some Team Soda and SOTA, not SODA, and some throw deuces. So that will get included. And then there's more. And I hope our winner is listening live because this makes it so much easier. I've got a couple of options for SmashBoxxTV shirts. I've got a sweet, super soft tee. And if you need to purchase one of these outright, get in touch with me. But here's a super soft. Here's a dry fit, a little bit more traditional dry fit. And then here's a super soft in a different color and a different size. So if our listener happens to be live tonight, we can get this nailed down. And then we could get these prizes out ASAP. I think I have about 2, maybe tonight will make for the 3rd week that I have built up, and then I'll get everything hopefully shipped out tomorrow before I leave for Michigan. I was caught up until about 2 weeks ago, but for the most part, we're good to go.
We're doing okay.
All right. Reading out on the board, we also see Luke Hainwald joining us from here in Wisconsin. I think Luke ran a little event on Sunday. I hope that all went well. Maybe a fundraiser of sorts for the new course in the Janesville, Wisconsin area. Phoenix Ruger Redberg is asking about some MVP plastic, which none of us have had a chance to throw yet. Tim asks, Johnny, did you enjoy the Expanse finale?
Oh, yes.
Wow. He got excited.
I didn't expect that to come out of your mouth, Terry.
Well,
I watched the last 3 episodes this past weekend. When I got back from the tournament, my son went to bed. I had time to kill, so I thought, what do I need to watch? Like, oh yeah, The Expanse. I want to watch the last episode. I forgot that they played 2 episodes this past week. It was awesome, and I'm so excited.
Real quick, would I or would I not like the show?
You would not like it.
All right, then let me tune out. Hold on. Go on.
It's like, I would say it's like Game of Thrones in space. Very cool concept. Very scientific. Very reality-based science. I know they go way out of their way to make sure that things are, for the most part, other than the aliens that show up, kind of, it's very, a lot of the stuff they do is very based in a true reality of how things may work in the distant future. It's very well acted. It's very well produced. It's very well done. I loved it. So I kind of, to the point where I want to start reading the books again. I read the first book, and then I started watching the series. I wanted to go through and like, oh, do I catch up and do Caliban's War and the Gate one? And I'm like, or do I just not read them? So what do you think? So there's let's say there's a TV series you love.
Okay.
And there's a book series with it. Do you just hold off on the books and watch the series? Or right now, there's a clear stopping point at a particular book. I know the books and TV series are a little different. Some characters I think they mixed for TV purposes. I really love the story. Do I pick up where the TV series left off and just read from there? What's your thought? Or do you read all of the books knowing kind of already what happens because you watched the series? You might catch up on some side plots and things of that nature. I honestly am at a loss. Or do I just pick up a different series of books and start reading them?
Yeah, I would have a hard time. Well, I mean, first, the only smart intellectual thing to say here, it's obligatory.
You need to read
the book is always better than the movie, right? I mean, is there anybody that's ever said the opposite? Ever?
You could argue that Game of Thrones TV series are better than the books because they cut out a lot of the fat. You miss a couple side stories, but George R.R. Martin has a lot of side fat with his stories that is a little unnecessary at times.
Well, if you want to look
they're
smart,
good,
you have to say, "Oh, the book was so much better than."
I've read all the books for George R.R. Martin.
You have to say that. You just have to. I personally, I don't think I could ever go back and read a series of books after I've seen
the movies or the TV series.
Movies that coincide with it. I don't personally couldn't do that. I also don't read a lot of fiction. If I'm reading anything, it's definitely more of a entrepreneurial or business or something along those lines. I just don't read a lot of fiction, anything of any kind. I could never do that. If I sat down and watched Star Wars, and I watched that either in a lapse time or binge setting or whatever the case might be, I would never personally take the time to go read the book. But I don't make a lot of time in my life for reading or viewing non-business like stuff. So
Matt Pipke says, "Who has time?" LOL. I understand that's kind of a joke, but on the other hand, I think everybody has time.
yeah, everybody has time if they want to make time for doing it.
Just
Sure.
like working out or whatever.
Yeah.
Audiobooks, you could sit and listen to them in the car. You can do them while working
Even
out.
though audiobooks aren't reading, yeah.
You could listen to your audiobooks
of course.
while you're playing disc golf.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I'm not saying I don't have time.
No, I know. I just
I
make the
would never
jokes.
prioritize it in that sense.
And unfortunately, right now, neither do I. I haven't listened to a book or read a true book in about a year, and I feel bad saying that, but I listen to so many different podcasts.
I know podcasts are like the new books.
They kind of are, and it's not like I'm listening to just like comedy podcasts where it's a lot of just sugar, so to speak. You listen to political podcasts, you listen to decent stories, you listen to interviews with authors and things like that. And Sword and Laser is a really good podcast for those who love fantasy and science fiction books. They talk with a lot of authors and stuff. But things like that, I agree though. I don't know, man.
I wouldn't be able to do that, and it's funny.
It's a hard time because I know if I pick up from where the TV series left off, there are characters who are going to show up that I don't know because they've been mixed into other characters. So I'm going to have to kind of relearn or maybe Wikipedia them and figure out. On one hand, I think, yeah, but I could just go through, and I'm sure it's probably like 20 hours of my life rereading the other books or re-listening to them, so to speak, or listening to them for the first time after watching the series. I'm almost at a stalemate where I don't know what to do, so I don't do anything. I know.
Wow.
I know. Hard life problems.
I
First world problems,
I
as
would
they say.
certainly say so. I'm learning, and maybe I'm becoming less fun for that reason. I'm learning, in my opinion, to trim out a lot of those. I don't want to say entertainment things that entertain, pieces that are just pure entertainment. Yeah, because that's not the term. I am prioritizing other things that I want to learn about or research before I would prioritize, like you said, like a fictional, and there's no way in hell I'd be on Wikipedia.
What was the last fiction book you read?
Fiction, I couldn't even name.
Not including children's books.
Yeah,
that you read your
I
daughters.
couldn't name the last true fiction book that I couldn't even think of.
How long ago would you guess that is? College? Before that?
No, it would have been after college, maybe. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I couldn't even think of it. I could think of 15 or 20 or plus business books.
Correct. You read business books, you read motivational books, that type of stuff. You read
not fiction,
but you're not a fiction person in general.
Autobiography, like a David Sedaris type thing. I read a whole bunch of his books.
Kind of fiction,
which is that's what I was going to say.
He
That's
embellishes
the closest,
a little bit.
exactly.
I've read some David Sedaris.
That's
stuff
probably
as
the
well.
closest thing to fiction. Yeah, no, I couldn't. So anyway, we'll move on. Enough chatter about that. Happy birthday tomorrow, Mackie D.
Yeah, Mackie.
Somebody had asked and said, David out on the board, I think you're relatively new, said that he had a question about discs, and could you ask here? And I said, no, it's the wrong podcast. But certainly,
you can always ask. We're willing to answer, and then we'll tell you who you should really ask after we give you the wrong answer.
He says, I have an AVR that is max weight, DX plastic, and I use something a little more overstable for windy conditions. Would the more overstable AVR X3 be less effective if it's lighter? Generally speaking, when you go to a slightly lighter weight of any disc, it should be, therefore, slightly less stable. So if you have a 175 AVR-X and you have a 170 AVR-X and a 165 AVR-X, in theory, usually, and this is very much just a generality, your 165 should be slightly less stable than a 175. Is it enough for you to notice? Meh, maybe not. Is it conceivable?
Are you talking a throwing putter or putting putter?
Either. Because the less. Of course, if you're putting from 22 feet, there shouldn't be a huge stability difference from 22 feet. There shouldn't be. Now, could there be from a 165 to a 175? Sure, there could be. But there really shouldn't be. Now, everything I just said could get thrown out the window because all of a sudden what could hit the market one day like a particular Pro Wraith that I have a Pro Wraith that is more stable than a monster from Innova that had a really good night with a triple X from Latitude. Like, I'm telling you, this Pro Wraith, a 167 Pro Wraith that should be by all means relatively flippy, it's just a pure meat hook. I've had other people throw it and be like,
"That's
seriously
really funny." I recall a story, Wayback Machine here. You and I in Rockford, Illinois, at a tournament, and I pulled out a disc that I wanted to go straight to flippy, and I know you at the time had thrown Sidewinders, and that's a disc traditionally that goes straight to flip, straight to turn. I pulled it out of my bag, I threw it. It was like a meat hook, and you looked at me, and I remember you saying, "What are you doing? That's a side." I looked at it, it said it's a Sidewinder, and you're like, "You're throwing it wrong." I said, "There's no way I'm throwing this disc wrong." And I threw it a couple times, and it was like I swear to God, it was like a meat hook. And I said, "No, I'm not." And I handed it to you, and you threw it, and it was like a meat hook. And I don't know what we ended up deciding, if it was an incorrect stamp disc, if it was marked, if it was just a strange run.
Yeah.
But disc to disc can be very odd at times. I think I'm getting rid of the disc, but it was it makes me laugh when you say you have a Wraith that does that. Every once in a while you find that one or two off disc that isn't like the others. One of these things is not like the other.
Yep. So that can happen. However, just in a very generic sense, the less you go down in weight, typically the less stable the disc may be. So a 165 Wraith shouldn't be as stable as a 170, or definitely not as stable as a 175, typically. Again, it could vary from run to run, and it could vary from plastic to plastic. You may have an EMAC Truth that's 172, and it is just as stable as your 178 EMAC Truth. That's certainly possible as well. Again, I'm speaking in a very generic sense, but that's what you'd be looking at. So I hope that's answered your question. That weight certainly can make a difference. And then Blizzard discs, as you've kind of just chatted on the board, can kind of throw all of that for a goofy loop. I when they first came out with a lot of the Innova Blizzard discs, for instance, I saw or witnessed somebody throwing like a 156 Katana. That, again, it flew like an Excalibur or a triple X. And then I saw somebody else throwing a 158 Katana that, kind of flipped over like a Sidewinder would. So I've seen Blizzard. I won't even.
When we went to Japan, I brought a bunch of Blizzard plastic. They just started to come out, and it was very early. And I thought, okay, I've got this cool Blizzard plastic. I'm going to use it because it's light and it's going to take me a while to get used to it. And I threw some discs, and they did not react at all like their heavier brothers, except for, I think it was a Blizzard Boss that I had that for whatever reason was the most stable Blizzard plastic. I threw destroyers that flipped over like they were paper plates, or putters that did very similar, that it was very tough to putt with. But for whatever reason, that one Boss that I had, I could crank on it as hard as I could, and I could not get it to flip. I threw it with a Big Annie, and it came out of it hard, like it was a meat hook. And it was the disc. When I found out what it did, I relied on it that entire weekend, because that particular event is you need to find plastic you're very secure with, because you're not used to playing with that style of plastic. So everything is variable depending on what it is.
Yeah, I mean, you need to obviously get to know your plastic, but the general principle being lighter is typically less stable.
And I'll go on record as saying I am a big fan lately of throwing lighter plastic. I have a couple 150s in my bag now. I've got a 150 Leopard and a 150 T-Bird, a Star T-Bird that I love, that when I throw it, it goes very straight for about 250 feet and then kind of hyzers at the end. And I love the lightness of that, because I know I can throw it with just a touch of hyzer, and it's going to flip up and go really straight for me and not flip over. So becoming old and throwing lighter plastic.
Right in your wheelhouse.
Right in my wheelhouse. But I've been doing that for a few years now. So.
All right.
Don't get hung up on weights.
Yeah, and also, as noted, elevation, and the elevation that you're playing at certainly has a difference it can make a huge difference in how a disc is going to react and the stability, so on and so forth. If you're playing in Colorado, your discs are going to fly differently than you're playing at sea level down at De La Viega. Very, very different in terms of how they react. So that's something else to note and to comment on. All right, because it's been asked a couple times, I don't know if it's a cool one or someone else. I'm not going to elaborate on it. I'm just going to throw it out there that there is a thing. There's a petition, and we see petitions to save courses quite frequently. Yep. We see petitions to get new courses in. We've seen a lot of different petitions. There's one that has now cycled around the internet a little bit, depending on which circle you run in. I saw it weeks ago about some, I'll call it local disc golf drama and politics, I think is a fair way to put it. That's between two conflicting parties that's taking place in the northern Indiana area. I've seen and heard plenty, I think, from both sides. And then, I always feel like there's the truth, the untruth, and then somewhere in the middle. That's what's going around. There's a petition. It's some infighting, I guess is what I'd call it, among a couple of conflicting parties or clubs. I don't feel strongly enough about it in one particular way to sign or go out of my way for said petition. So I'll leave it at that. If that's what I know that's what you're asking about. So it is what it is. The only part that disappoints me about the petition, I will say, is I feel like people who have absolutely no idea whatsoever about it
aren't local and don't know the situation.
Feel like they need to chime in on it, and that to me is a little disheartening because I feel like I know more than maybe somebody on the other side of the planet that just knows nothing.
2 hours from us, so
so I do know a little bit more, maybe for that reason, but I'm still gonna choose to not be involved. I think that's best. Which, believe it or not, I'm getting better at in my older age.
That's a true statement. For those of you who don't know, Terry in his heyday when he was younger could not let any misinformation come out of the internet without him commenting on it on the old
disc golf related
on the old PDGA web boards back in the way long day when they had the PDGA web boards. Terry was notorious, and back in the day, I was the one that was like, Terry, just drop it. Nobody cares. You don't need to do.
Why am I arguing with idiots?
Why are you arguing with these people who have no clue what's going on? And I will say, I think the roles have slightly reversed, where you don't follow the social media nearly as much.
I don't follow the message
board media. Whereas of me, I am on course review, Discord, Reddit much more frequently, correcting, not necessarily getting.
There's a lot of idiot statements thrown around out there.
And a lot of places. I mean, there's a lot of idiot statements on this podcast too, but and that's usually from me or you, mostly him. But I think the roles have slightly reversed. I'm not as bad as you used to be, but I am worse than I used to be. So yes, it's really kind of funny.
That's definitely a fair way to put it. I am learning to get better. I feel like I'm good with listening to some constructive or some well put out or well thought out constructive pieces and feedback. But as I've said before, a post on my YouTube after I post a video and it says, "You suck and you're fat." I'm sorry. That does. If you truly want me or anyone to get better, come at it with a little bit more thought than that is the best way, in my opinion. I'll listen to you. Telling me that doesn't.
I'm going to continue to put that on all your posts.
You should.
So.
It just doesn't do you any good.
All right, let's give away some stuff here. We got Patreon open. We got some random.org action happening.
Yeah,
let's
do.
give away some Patreon. We looks like we lost 1 or 2 Patreon supporters. I think last month.
I blame you.
Probably. We're at 197. We're at 195 right now.
Ouch.
I was really excited because we were almost ready to crest the 200 patron mark, and now we're like a mile away again. So once again, if you want to be,
now that you've got your winning ways, though, people will want.
I should really rack up all the Advanced Masters wins I can before my rating goes up.
Yes, definitely a good idea.
Anyway, again, if you want to be eligible for our giveaway, our weekly giveaway, where we give away anything from a new car, which we've never have, but we could someday, you don't know that, to a new disc. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
We kind of technically have given away a new car.
No, we haven't.
I mean, if somebody wanted to stretch it and say that we broadcast the Next Gen finale, which gave away a new car, it was given away on our show.
It was given away on the
SmashBoxx's show. There might be a stretch there.
You want to stretch the truth there? I'll let you stretch the truth there. Again, patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Any amount gets you eligible for the weekly giveaway in the after show. I'm working on some special little things for some of our biggest patrons.
What?
For the $5 level. I'm not going to go into any more detail than that, but keep
them guessing.
Just be prepared for possibly a message, and putting this out in the world by me saying it will actually make me do it, as opposed to just sit and think about it. So anyway, we have 195 patrons right now. What number should we use?
It's the 2nd.
It's
July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Or we just let's just click on one. This is the first marriage of Kyle and Audrey, and hopefully their only one.
First and only. And I like how
they got married today.
I like how you saved that. All right, so our very first, and we're doing 2 giveaways tonight, correct?
What? I don't know.
We are. We're doing 2 giveaways because we neglected to give away one last week.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So we need to give away 2 things.
So we've got
tonight.
some shirts.
We got some shirts
and some stickers.
So, all right, the very first one is 165. We're gonna scroll to 165.
How did you sort them?
I just whatever Patreon edit.
Okay.
Tim Outerkirk. Did we just literally give something away to Tim Outerkirk?
It doesn't ring a bell.
Tim Outerkirk.
Maybe we did. I don't know. Tim
Outerkirk. Yeah.
On 4/10/18. Yes. In Granville, Michigan, Tim won something.
Tim, you win this week. You win. What are we going to give Tim?
We're going to give Tim a shirt.
We're going to give Tim a shirt. But we're going to give away something else tonight.
All right, let's give away another shirt.
Should we give away a couple things tonight?
Shirt. I mean, sure.
Shirt. All right, we're going to give away a couple things tonight. And you know what I want to do tonight?
Oh my gosh, what do you want to do? Give away your black disc.
No.
Give it away. Give it away, you little. What?
21 years. I'm not giving that away. The only times I took second in advanced, like 4 or 5.
Like once.
4 or 5 times, and I never won. Only once by like 1 stroke where I kind of was upset. But other than that, I'm not giving away that black disc.
I've got spares.
I know you do, you jerk.
Lots of them.
Someone hung out in their division a little too long.
I have open black discs.
Whatever.
I beat Brian Schweberger one time.
Northwoods.
No.
Oh, Milwaukee Open?
No,
Green
Parkside.
Parkside. Oh, that's right.
Schwebby
Parkside.
and
You
Brian
stop living in the
McCree.
past. I want to give away something to just the chat board tonight.
Yes, chat board.
So just the chat board tonight, we're going to give something away.
Chat board.
So I want to make sure. I'm not going to frame the black disc. It's sitting in the basket, or the mini basket.
So okay, so
my 3rd place advanced.
We're going to give away something. So you have to be live and on the chat.
Live
this
and on
very
the chat
moment.
board. But
so if you're just kind of listening, you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to log in. Now is the time, because somehow we're going to give you something.
That's right. So we're going to give away one more Patreon thing.
Okay.
For just Patreon. Another shirt for Patreon.
And then maybe another shirt or something.
And then we're going to give away something just on the chat board because I'm feeling pretty generous tonight.
Oh, wow,
so,
that Johnny.
I know.
What a guy.
That's what I do. It's what I do. All right. So here is we're going to hit, what number should we do? Should we do 2 this time?
Yeah, it makes sense.
1, 2? All right. So
July 2nd.
It's July 2nd. So number 46, we are going 46. It is Joseph Culp.
Joseph
Culp. Congratulations on winning a shirt. We will reach out to you.
I do not see Joseph as ever previously winning anything here.
That's awesome. Are you writing these down? Please write these down.
That's your job.
I normally do, but if
if
we're giving things away a lot.
Oh, wow.
So, you know what I can do? I can probably just
here, I'm going to put in Joseph Culp.
Was it Tim Outerkirk?
Tim Outerkirk. I'll spell that phonetically.
That's a good idea. Wow, we are good on this podcast.
Shirts.
Yes, Tim Ouderkirk.
Sure.
For all you people at home who want to stalk him.
Yes.
And steal his shirt off his back. Tim Outerkirk. Okay, so that's 2 things we've given away. I want to give away one more thing. I don't know how we want to do it on the web board.
I mean, trivia is always a good one. Luke Hainwell then always wins because
He's fast as fingers.
He's good at Googling, and he knows any Wisconsin-related history. So Luke is always one of our favorites out there. We see so many awesome people have chimed in, though.
Alexis, it's not Tuesday yet. It's Monday. We're doing things early because of the holidays.
Yes, but good to see a couple extra people. Big Putt Bill Sherman has tuned in from California. Mike Harrington. Hey, Mike. And Alexis, as you said, Amp Style, JT O'Brien, so many people here tonight.
Mike Harrington, no offense. He said all you have to do is run a Wisconsin Tour event to get a black disc. Not the same. Not the same as truly winning one.
That's true. Okay. So what, you're looking for a way to give this away?
I'm looking for a way to give away one more shirt to just the people who are tuned in tonight as a happy
And
happy
the question
4th of
is, do
July.
we think trivia is the best route?
I don't know.
Or is it, I think of a number and somebody writes down the number? I mean, that's pretty random.
Should we can do that. How many viewers do we have right now?
It looks like we have roughly 86 viewers.
So we could do a number between 1 and 25? Something like that?
And then somebody just has to correctly guess my number? I don't think that's
no, that's not
going
to work.
That's not quite as fun. All right. We'll keep talking. I'll think of something in my head. It will be trivia based, so get ready with your fingers.
Trivia based. Free
It'll
shirt
be somewhat
tonight to
trivia based.
Just the viewers.
Guess Johnny's career wins. It's more than one. That's the kicker.
I think
5?
Technically 4, I believe. Is
Okay. He doesn't even know.
According to the PDGA. Honestly, I don't.
Okay. That's fine.
Memorable wins. Spamtown Open in AM. Team tournament, which I think is counted as a win on the PDGA website.
Might have been that year. Yep.
Dark Side of the Disc.
Yep.
Where I beat Terry.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Zobel event. So I believe this is my 4th PDGA sanctioned win.
Gosh, I have so many different ways I could go at trivia. The challenge for me is to not make it too Midwestern favorited, because I have so many questions that could easily, people are just throwing out numbers.
I have a good way.
I love it. Okay. I'll be the judge of that. That's Johnny's.
Hold on one second. I don't care. All right.
Big Putt Bill with a super chat. We appreciate it. Big Putt Bill. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, this might only, I was thinking one of my, mine would be very specific.
It's your world, Terry.
I know. I have a very specific one that, let me type it in to see if it's too specific and random, because I feel like it would only apply to certain people that would be.
Someone asked, guess what's in Johnny V's bag? It's a Buzz. What did I throw this weekend? I threw my Leopard. I threw a Comet quite a bit. I threw an EMAC Buzz SS, which I loved. I could throw that on a line. It was it's a really old disc, clearly, as it's a Discraft. And my Star Destroyer. Those are the 4 go-to discs. And then I flip-flop. If it was a headwind putt, I used a Judge. If it was more of a tailwind or no wind putt, I used a really old 4-chain magnet, which I was doing some practice putting, and somebody picked this up and goes, "Oh my God, how old is this?" And I said,
"Older than you, son."
No, I said, "Longer than you've been playing. It's older than when you've been playing, buddy." And he was an advanced master with me. So those are more or less the 5 discs I used. I did throw a zone on 1 or 2 tiny little forehand approaches that I needed just to go about 100 feet because I was stuck in some woods.
I feel like I have a great question, but I want to confirm before I do so. But I feel like I have a solid question. I apologize. It might be a little selfish, but I think I have a good question.
David Arterburn, as he said, he ordered a pineapple and ham pizza.
Good call.
That's disgusting.
Love you, David. We should do dinner sometime.
He, and my wife can all do dinner because she loves that.
I have what I feel like is a solid question, but I do want to triple check it so that I'm not wrong.
Seti says he's had EMAC Buzz SS in his bag for years. I've had mine in my bag for about a year and a half since my old bag was stolen. I needed a Buzz. I had a first run. Actually, I don't know if it was technically. I think it was a first run. A first run orange Buzz that I had worn in perfect, that went perfectly straight, that when my bag was stolen out of my car, it was taken with my bag, and I needed something to replace it. All the new Buzzes that I had, which were all like 10 years old or 12 years old, were all too stable, so I went with a Buzz SS that I had just hanging out, and I really like it.
All right. This one has...
Johnny V's Pizzeria does not serve pineapple.
This one has...
That's right.
This one has a little, I'll say personal bias, so I'll give you that hint. But it also has a perfectly legitimate tie.
Okay.
And it's timely. So, I'll set it up by saying, and this is only for our for our chatters that are on the board. Anyone that's chatting right now or is listening in live, you have the opportunity to win this. Here's the if you give us the correct answer. I'll set it up by saying it's pertinent to this upcoming weekend. And here's the question. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Just throw it out there.
During my final round ever played at the Toboggan, I played with an owner of a major manufacturer in the sport of disc golf. Who was that company owner?
All right.
During my final round at the Toboggan, I played with an owner of a major manufacturer. Who is that owner that I played with? And a few great... Oh, wow, look at these. I love this. So far, some answers coming in. Dave Dunapace, Steve Rico, Jeremy Rusko, Jim Kenner, Dunapace again, Legacy. Shoot. I don't know what that means. UC Greenwell, that's a solid answer. Dave McCormick is your answer. Furnace,
you win tonight. It was Dave McCormick from Gateway
Dave McCormick
Discs.
from Gateway, and I had to just triple check. I believe going into that final round, it looked like he had a total score as we were going into the final round. He had at that time a total score of 324. I had a total score of 326. And looks like he ended up shooting 60, and I shot a 57, if that was, in fact, the last round at the Toboggan. I know I played my last round at the Toboggan did, in fact, include David McCormick of Gateway Discs.
All right, so Furnace, if you will go out to smashbox.tv/winners, there's a form you can fill out that will automatically email Terry and I your information, let us know exactly what you need. As far as you want a t-shirt, please tell us your size so we can try to work that out for you.
Or if you're on the Facebooks, go ahead and you can send it to me now.
Or message it to Terry
we know
directly.
That it's going to be timely. So you're welcome to do so as
Luke
well.
Hamwell says, we had this question. Well, then how come you weren't first, Luke?
Yeah, then you should have. I feel like I mentioned it in the last few weeks, and I know I mentioned it at least once in the last week.
When was Charlotte Worlds? What year was that?
2012.
2012.
What would be a really fun game is spit out the year and then us name where the Worlds was.
I'm bad at that.
Oh.
Honestly,
I'd win.
You would win.
I'd beat you, maybe. That
oh,
might
God,
be it.
you'd crush me.
Okay, well, so Furnace, you are rewarded for your paying attention. You're awarded for being on top of it tonight. If I mentioned it recently, I feel like I did. So, good. And the year was 2000. That was the bonus follow-up. The Pro-Am Worlds that took place in Michigan in the year 2000. That's when it was. So, and I believe, as I told Kale Avisco, we were talking about going there this weekend, I believe that was the last time I stepped foot on that course then, because I have not been there for any of the AM Nationals. That was my first year playing professionally or accepting cash. Yeah.
So I think 2012 was the last year I played Pro Worlds.
13 was in Indiana, which you weren't part of, and 14 was in Portland, which you weren't part of, and 15 was Pittsburgh, which you weren't part of, or was Yeah, 15 was Pittsburgh, 16 was GBO, which we were live for, and the first one I didn't play in, and then obviously last year in at the IDGC.
Yeah, that's amazing to me that it's been almost 6 years since I've played Pro Worlds or any World Championships. For that
now
matter.
this year, I think coming off this hot win, how did you not sign up? And I'm not even kidding. How did you not sign up for Pro Masters Worlds in Kansas? I'll be there.
I will not.
I will come film you.
Am Masters Worlds?
No, it's Pro Masters Worlds in Kansas City. You're
Oh.
not eligible to play in Am Masters World.
No, I know because I've taken cash, and I had to explain that to the gentleman who was a little upset about me playing. And he's like, I don't even know how you can. And he wasn't like a jerk about it, but he was definitely flustered over it. And he was like, I didn't even know you could do that. I'm like, yeah, you can't play majors or NTs.
Well, you flash your 885 card. Be like, boom, I can play this division. That's what you should have done.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, it was just I got such a kick out of it. It's fun.
All right. It was asked of me, is it a good course? It is. Honestly, I do. Of course, I remember some of it, not all of it, and I haven't watched any of the Am Nationals videos that have been produced throughout the last few years. I know there have been some out there for the US ADGC. It was raved about as being one of the best courses out there, and everyone is just mad or disappointed that it's not in year round. So there's a certain buzz or excitement that goes around every year for the USAM Nationals time because that course gets put in for a week to 2 weeks or so, or in this case, I think roughly a month this year. There is a lot of talk about how phenomenal of a course it is. It is truly a really special, challenging course, and you're going to be treated to elevation. You're going to probably have a little heat and humidity probably this weekend. Distance, I'm excited to see it play out. It should be really good.
I know we're still wondering about, for us personally, a booth, where it's going to be set up, how it's going to be set up. We're still kind of working on making sure we've got good quality cell signal all throughout the course. We've done just a few tests in different particular spots, and they seem okay, but we're still working those kinks out as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out shortly about the plans for this weekend.
Yes. If there's anything unusual, we'll make sure to let you know as soon as we can. Chris Cobb asks, who last caddied for Terry in a tournament? I don't think that was the last tournament I played in, though, Chris. So I don't know if that's you. But I appreciate you caddying me earlier in this year. Maybe that was the last one I really played in.
Mackie D says, after playing 2.5 years, is an 896 an okay rating?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I would say if you told me a 950, I'd say yes. If you told me an 830, I'd say yes. There's so many variables. How many rounds a day are you playing? Are you practicing at all? Are you not practicing? Are you just kind of playing tournaments? There's so many variables there, but 2.5 years for an 896, I think that's a pretty general good zone to be in.
Sure. And if naturally, if you're someone like a Kale or a Simon and you're just insanely naturally gifted, you've been playing 2.5 years and you might be 990 rated.
No. I'll say that about Kale. I will not say that about Simon. Simon is a natural athlete, but he's been playing since he was
like 3.
Since 3 because his father.
I'm just saying, if you're someone like him though, and you happen to.
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think you put Simon on a basketball court and he kicks butt. I don't think you put Simon in an archery range and he kicks butt. I think Simon is a very good disc athlete.
No, you're wrong. He's good at everything he touches. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
He once sang me a song.
He can play guitar and stuff, but and I don't know, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've never seen him do any other athletic ability, like any other sport.
He's great at billiards, pool, which I know you could argue athleticism, but I mean he's great at darts, he's great at pool. Like I think you don't think he's probably good at. I think he's probably good at skiing and snowboarding. I'm just gonna guess.
I have no idea. He's
naturally talented and gifted, and I think anything that you put in his hands or have him do, I think within 2 years he is better than average than almost all others.
Because I look at some of our players, I look at Macbeth and I look at Wysocki, and I've seen them, and they can pick up almost any sport and just be good at it.
Correct.
Within a week.
And I think Simon fits that category as well.
I don't know.
Wow, Simon.
Maybe
Johnny's calling you out.
Maybe he is.
He thinks
and I don't know.
Suck.
But But I kind of put Simon and Eagle in that same position. Like, and I've never seen Eagle play baseball or basketball or football, but he doesn't. Eagle and Simon, for some reason, they don't seem like the type, and granted, football is unique because it's an American sport. I want to see Eagle. Not Eagle. I want to see Simon throw a football. Just throw me a spiral. I want to know if he can do it, or how funny it looks.
I was just gonna say,
or
again, that's because that's incredibly American. As opposed to
throw me a baseball, something that's not disc related. Pick up. Is he good at soccer? I don't know.
Yes,
I don't, because I haven't seen it. I'm not saying he's not. Simon, if you're listening to this.
Oh, he's listening.
I know.
Here's what I would say.
I don't know. That's just it. Like, I've seen Ulibari. I've seen Wysocki. Like, these guys just pick up things so crazy natural.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guy in town, or not in town, in Wisconsin, Chris Herron, who whatever he picks up, he seems to be good at it. Just natural ability.
You name anything remotely
it's
skilled or athletic, and I give you as much time as you want in 1 week, or I'm sorry, in 2 weeks, and I give Simon 3 days, and I bet you he beats you at every single athletic thing. I'm just saying,
Maybe.
I think he is that talented, and of course me as well. I'm not saying you.
No, I know, not me particularly, but in general,
yeah,
he's better than, he picks up things better than average.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes,
maybe that's true. I don't know,
talented.
but it just, I don't know. He just doesn't. He doesn't. To me, for some reason, maybe it's his attitude, maybe it's his aloofness. He doesn't come off to me like some of our other players, like an Austin Turner or a Ricky Wysocki or a Paul Macbeth or some of these guys who just seem like they are natural athletes. To me, it seems like Simon was handed a disc when he was a small child, and he knows that round piece of plastic better than. And I'll say this: I think Simon's better than any of our other players at disc golf. I think he is the best natural player, better than Ricky, better than Paul, better than Eagle, better than any other player at the top of their game. If you give all their players and you say, today you're playing your best, I think he's better than Paul.
Okay.
And I think Paul's a close second.
Okay.
When you say the top of their game, like the best that they can be, only because I think Simon has this innate, natural disc ability because he's been around it for so long.
And you don't think that
but I don't know
applies
if that,
to all any other disciplines?
I don't know if it applies to other disciplines.
You're willing to give him all of that credit, but then that's where you draw the line and say, well, but he might not be
he might not
the best high jumper.
I want to see him swing a bat. I want to see him like, hey, let's get into a batting cage. Let's see if you look like a 3-year-old, or let's see if you look like a 19-year-old at their prime. I don't know. And I'm not. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Simon. I'm just not sure. I'd love to know what the board thinks. Climo is a natural. Climo is one of those guys that I've seen him do crazy athletic things.
Sure.
I've never seen Simon do anything really athletic other than a Frisbee. But I don't know, because it's not like he puts that stuff out on Facebook or social media that much. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, you've just thrown down, so we'll check in with Simon.
I'm throwing down with you, Simon. You and I are going to go one-on-one the next time we're in the same place, which will be never, and at some other sport.
Okay. I know where my money is.
He's going to come up with some video where he's like spinning a basketball on his finger while hitting home runs.
Yeah, exactly.
And on a unicycle. And I'm going to be like, okay, Simon, you win.
Yeah,
I get it.
While juggling and spitting fire. Yeah, I could certainly see that. As he should. And it would be very entertaining, as we'd expect from him. All right. Now that we've taken our trip down memory lane.
Who's the best golfing disc golfer? I'm not sure if it's Ulibari is very good. My understanding.
Yeah.
Climo. I think from what I know, Climo seems like he's
Brad
the best.
Hammock. One could argue Brad Hammock, Climo.
Cam Todd probably.
Cam Todd.
Cam actually tried to make a run at getting his card many years ago. It's probably Cam Todd if you put all my if I were to put, knowing what the limited information, if someone said $100 on any person, I'd probably pick Cam.
Yeah, see, and I know Cam made a run at trying to break into the PGA Tour. I don't know the exact success of it or just how far he had gotten with it, so I can't speak to that. I mean, that's obviously a very solid, person to list. I think if I were to today go out, I would have to probably pick Yuli, or as Chris Cobb had said, Climo. I mean, both of them very good. I think Yuli would have the upper edge on that. Yuli had the high school background in golf, so I would give it to Yuli probably.
Over Cam?
Yeah, I would.
Wow.
I've never once heard anything of Cam's actual success. I know his run and his attempt, but I've never heard.
I know he put an effort into it, and that's why I thought if you're putting an effort into it,
that was also 10 years ago. And Yuli, Cam's 42, 43. Obviously, not that you can't be great at that age for Cam Todd.
I hear you're calling out Cam Todd.
I'm saying, but at 42, 43 versus Yuli's 33, Yuli. I would just give the upper edge to Yuli. It'd certainly be great to find it out. That's for sure. All right.
Yeah.
A couple more things off the board, as in, are we having a show tomorrow night? No, Lady DMC81. We are not having a show tonight. It was kind of, I'll call it impromptu. It was came up tonight to have it due to 4th of July and travel and all that other stuff taking place over the next 2 days. It was just today decided that we would ultimately have a show tonight. So none for the rest of the week. Is there any hate on ex-pro ball golfers making the switch to disc golf, or would it be welcomed? It would certainly be welcomed. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And any amount of notoriety or fame, a la Bubba Watson or anyone else that ever showed any interest, or the hockey player that we know, anyone that shows any interest in disc golfers are usually all over it. So, Chris says that Yuli does play golf from time to time when he's in town, which is great. Is ball golf or disc golf even a sport, or are they games? That's I think you could make a much bigger argument for some of the other sports before disc golf and ball golf. No doubt in my mind they are.
My thought
they are sports.
Like growing up, my thought was always, it's not, and this is, I don't know if I've changed that or not, but it's not a sport unless there's a defense. That's kind of my mentality. If there's a defense of some sort, you could consider it a sport. Otherwise, it's some sort of game. And I don't know if that's necessarily changed in my head, but I remember thinking that as a kid when I heard about the golf team at Appleton North. And we had this discussion, is that a sport or is that a game? Is that a competition? Nobody's, other than the course, nothing's competing against you. For golf, the defense is the course. The trees, the green, the wind, that's your defense, as opposed to another conscious player or person coming at you thinking about defending against you. And
so when you were in high school, you were in swimming, you didn't consider that a sport?
It's more of a competition than a sport. There was no defense. I agree.
Huh.
And I was a decent swimmer, and it is there's a lot of things that you play where you're competing against yourself. You can compete against somebody else, but ultimately you can't affect what they're doing. I
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, as a swimmer, my goal is to swim as fast as I can, and I can't help it if I personal record, but the guy next to me still beats me by a half a second. Hats off to him. Just like in golf, you can shoot your highest rated round. You can be in the lead and shoot, oh, awesome, I shot my course record. Oh, man, the guy off the second card shot four strokes better than me. He shot his personal record. Congratulations, dude, you win. There's no way I could have stopped him. There's nothing I could have done to compete against him. And again, this was a mentality I had in junior high and high school. I haven't really thought it through in a long time, so I don't know if it extrapolates to now when I'm 40 years old as opposed to when I was 15 when I originally had thought about it. Because this conversation came up because NASCAR. Someone asked the eternal question, is NASCAR a sport?
Yeah.
And everyone that I knew was like, no, you're just racing. There's nothing athletic. And I thought, well, it's athletic, but at least in NASCAR, you can play defense. Other racers can defend against you. So to me, I was thinking like, no, that makes it a sport. You work as a team at times. Your teammates can help you. You can draft together. You can work together. So that to me made it more of a sport than even the swimming that I was in, the golf, the individual competitions.
And maybe interesting take by Johnny V here, folks.
Maybe again, I would have to rethink that argument fully now, but that's what I thought as a kid.
That's how you're defining the term.
That was how I defined it as a kid.
Sport as opposed to...
I don't know if I define sport that way, but is it a sport? I don't know. Again, 15-year-old me versus 40-year-old me, I'm not sure.
Okay. Jeff Hawkins says, bowling isn't a sport because you have to rent the shoes. That's pretty funny, Jeff. I feel like
Jeff
they're
Hawkins,
all sports.
I disagree. I'm not smart.
I feel like when you... Where I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too far, but I feel like
isn't that what
when
the
you
after
really,
show's for, Terry?
It is, but I feel like you really, to me, the bigger argument starts coming into how you're defining some of the, I don't even want to call them fringe because they're not, they're way bigger, but some of, we'll say, the significantly less athletic sports when you think about poker. Clearly tons of money. There's definitely defense. There's definitely strategies. And you definitely can impact others. I mean, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can play defense in poker.
Of course, there's lots of,
strategy.
And strategy certainly comes into play. Is poker a sport? Is chess a sport? You practice.
Yeah.
There's winners and losers. You're playing against someone, and it's clearly far less physically, less demanding.
You think about it
than most other things.
You think about it now. I would have a hard time even with me saying someone like, is javelin a sport? I think it is, but you don't. There's no defense. You can't. I can't. I can't affect anyone else. Yep. Luging is that
figure
a sport?
Skating?
Figure skating.
And I think people would laugh.
And those are
of course.
Those are super athletic people.
Of course.
Some of those people are those men and women are some of the most in shape, ridiculous people I've ever seen. But you get the argument of competition versus sport. I don't know. And
I think all sports are competitions.
They are.
But a competition.
And I think they're all sports.
But a competition doesn't have to be a sport.
Correct. And
cribbage. A cribbage tournament is that cards. I guess just like poker. Is that a sport? Or is that just a competition? Is that a tournament? There's winners, there's losers.
Tournament's
there's
a dumb
defense.
thing because that's an environment.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so those are all things.
Seti's lolling at is chess a sport? So yeah, Tanya Harding played defense. Actually, she didn't. Yeah. It was Jeff Gillooly. Gillooly. He played defense.
It is certainly time to move on from that topic. I totally.
All right.
agree.
Sorry.
We could make that argument.
One of our after show threads.
Random for sure. All right.
You'll find it. You'll listen to that on the box later.
Speaking of on the box, I think we're going to see Dixon Jowers or hear from him this weekend. Dixon's planning on, as far as I know of, is also going to be involved as part of the team.
I heard he's going to be in Michigan.
I'll kind of segue over from that also to, there was a debate, and I almost hate to bring him up because I don't love to bring too much validity to some of those stupid debates. There was a really lengthy debate that had started yesterday about, it's like every day someone new finds out, wants to get worked up about Paul Ulibarri or Trevor Harbault about foot faulting, and someone had paused from the FNTSY network, had paused a Uli at Ledgestone from last year. Yeah, that's I'll explain later.
Wow.
Had paused it and then was calling out Uli, and then this massive debate took place about foot faults and foot placement and all this other stuff. And the whole foot fault conversation that ensued. And then one of the arguments by said gentleman was the commentators need to be calling this out as well. And it's just foolish and ridiculous that they're not. And I said, in so many words,
you can't tell.
I can't tell, which is what I finished with. But I also said, me calling it or not has nothing to do with it. There are rules, and the group needs to be calling it. I don't understand how me calling it has anything to do with it. But also, last time I checked, I've been criticized for being too mean or being a big meanie and always being negative during commentary. But then as soon as I said on the flip side of that, I've also been accused of being a fanboy of said person or company for complimenting or providing accolades. So I don't know if I can really win this argument or this discussion, because either you're mad at me because I'm too nice or you're mad at me because I'm too mean. So me getting involved with yelling about foot faults, I will call something if I think it's blatant, obviously. But if I see someone blatantly breaking a rule, I would hope, I
we
just have
don't
a bad...
see basketball announcers constantly calling out travels, which there are a ton of in the NBA.
Correct. And if they do, because it's egregious and they just flat out missed it, sure. But when it comes to a foot fault, which we can all agree that we can't agree on, I'm not getting into that argument during a broadcast.
I think a great comparison would be our announcers calling out a falling putt to a good to a bad travel that wasn't called. Like,
correct.
If a falling putt, not necessarily our traditional step putts that we're seeing or jump putts, as opposed to a 2 3/4 step travel.
Or what I
close.
If I see Paige Pierce throw a putt from 23 feet and then blatantly fall to her knees in front, after she's released the putt, and it is 100% a blatant, falling putt or stance violation or whatever you want to call it, of course I'll say that. I'll be like, wow, I'm surprised the group didn't call that, or whatever I would say to that. I would certainly call that. When it comes to a foot fault on a jump putt, as I said, I don't process the play in 480 frames per second, so I am not about to start arguing whether or not that's a jump putt or that's a foot fault.
A foot fault. It's so hard to say, and if you did that, it'd just be repetitive. Like, oh, that could have been a foot fault. That's close.
Maybe
calling that out every time would be annoying and
correct
and not productive.
Now, I have on the flip side of it, as Jeff Hawkins said, Nico would call it. I would just go ahead and say I am shocked when more people don't call time violations on a number of players. There are a number of players that I have witnessed as a cameraman and that I've witnessed as an announcer that exceed the time limit, the 30 seconds allotted to throw. I'm surprised that doesn't get called more often. Again, I can scream it all I want from the booth. That doesn't impact play. That doesn't matter. I can point it out if I feel like it's egregious or it's happened. But even then, it's not like I'm going to rip off my headphones and run out to the course and be like, hey, 3 holes ago, you definitely took 44 seconds.
You're good with this. As an announcer, you should be calling egregious things and things that are obvious, that are not picked up on maybe by players or watchers. Those little other things are not worth harping on. You could mention it that, hey, there's a controversy about step putting and whether or not how close he is versus whether he's touching the ground. Is the ground considered a blade of grass if he's hitting that versus the ground? I know, I'm over that.
Yeah. Well, and I the one other thing I would say in a similar fashion, if somebody foot faults in terms of missing their mark, same thing. If I'm watching from the booth, just like you are, I am certainly I've learned enough about camera angles. It may look like they missed the mark. They might have been dead on. My camera angle is probably the same as yours if we're watching it from the booth, and I'm certainly not going to create a ruckus. If they're 2 feet off the mark and it's clear as day, like you said, egregious, I will definitely say something. But if they're just barely off and I can't tell for sure, I don't need to start that.
Cool One says time violations are never called, even for searching for a lost disc. I'm with you.
Not as often as they should be.
Because I was guilty of that this weekend.
Of course you were, cheater.
No, I talked
about the black disc from him.
I talked about how on like hole 17, I took the hyzer and it worked out. Like I threw such a bad shot that it ended up in a decent position. When we were looking for their lost discs, I know for a fact that we went at least 8 to 9 minutes looking for plastic, because there were 2 players that both lost their discs, that both thought they could shoot through the swag. And so there was like 2 of us looking for one disc, 2 of us looking for other. to the point where at some point we just called it. We're like, okay, we're done. You have to go back and re-tee, because at this point now we have held up the entire tournament. Sorry, Mike Harrington, on hole 17 of the second round.
Dickhead.
And
not Mike, you.
It like, I know that went way longer than it should have, but at one point as you're looking, you think, when do I start the clock? Should I have started the clock already? We got 2 guys looking for that disc. We have 2 guys looking for this disc. They're probably about 50 feet away from 200 feet away from each other, depending on where we think they landed. Do I want to be that jerk that calls time without telling people I started a clock?
No, you have to tell everyone.
You have to tell everyone you started a clock, which I didn't do. But now I've been looking for your disc so long. I know I've been looking for your disc for at least 3 minutes. I start the clock now, and then it's been 6 minutes. Like, there are so many.
Better than waiting until 9.
No, I agree, and it was very. It was that puts, and it's been a while since I've been in that position. It puts people in a tough position, because I should have said when we started, when do you start the clock? Immediately when the person walks to where he thinks his lies and it's not there, then you say, okay, you're on the clock. Go find your disc. Or do you wait until everyone's looked around and you're like, oh gosh, we can't find the disc. We thought it was right here. Then someone pulls this, okay, we've been, looking for 1.5 to 2 minutes. You thought you were here, but maybe you were really over there. Maybe you caught a tree. Let's start the clock now. I don't know. That's such a tough decision on when to start the time clock. And I was guilty of it this weekend because I didn't know. I didn't want to be that guy. I should have been.
Yeah.
But I didn't.
Instead, you just made the other 80 people at the tournament suffer.
I did, because at some point, we had nobody in front of us for the entire round. And I know, and at that point, we'd started playing faster, but there's no one behind us. We held up that entire tournament for a couple minutes on the hardest hole of the course.
I'm going to penalize you 2 strokes.
So
Black disc goes to Kevin.
No, because Kevin was in my card, so
still goes to
everyone would be penalized 2 strokes. It is such a hard, that time call is so hard when it comes to lost discs. I don't know. I wish there was a much clearer way to determine that. If you just say, hey, guess what? I threw my shot because I was clearly out. You have 30 seconds or 3 minutes now?
You have 3 minutes.
No, I know, but let's say I throw and I put it under the basket. Do I start a clock at 3 minutes and say, okay, you have 30 seconds to go, but 3 minutes to find your disc? You walk up and you say, hey, my disc isn't where I thought it was.
Once everyone is looking. That's when the timer starts.
Yep. That is a difficult position to be in, and it's been a while since I've been there.
All right. Well, do a better job at spotting your disc. And just the easiest way is, I always say, is when everyone is clearly there and ready to start looking, that's when you said, all right, you just call it out and say, let's start a timer, or I'll start the timer, or something like that. And somebody just has to say it. Somebody has to do it, because otherwise then you work up the entire tournament. So, all righty. I think we've got just about everything covered here. Mandatory provisional after OB? Are you suggesting that you should always take one? I mean, if you're clearly OB and if you're clearly OB and there's no doubt in your mind, I don't see why you would take a provisional. I guess it depends on the situation. I mean, this weekend in Minnesota, at one point, somebody threw a shot. They were unsure if it was going to truly be out of bounds by the time they got up there. So they said, all right, I'm just going to call provisional now. They went ahead and threw, and then when they got up there, it was, in fact, out of bounds. So it made perfect sense.
And like I said, when we split up and 2 of us were looking for the disc that the guy, we swear to God, it looked like he had a great shot. We thought he was going to be like within 30 feet of the pin. And we couldn't find it. And then the other guy he went for quote unquote the gap, and he's a wonderful guy, but went for the gap, and you basically threw in the middle of swag and couldn't find his stuff. And 2 and 2 are looking for discs. How do you time that? Because technically you're supposed to start the timer to when all 4 players are looking for a disc. You all say, okay, no, everyone come over here and look for this disc, versus no, we're going to look for this disc. That's tough.
Don't be such a baby.
I don't care. I won.
Yeah. So there's that. All right, guys. Lady DMC, have a good night. We appreciate it. Everyone else, thank you guys for tuning in. We've got a couple different winners. As we mentioned,
thanks to everyone who supports us, by the way. It's July. We're 6 months through the year. We're going to start now very quickly working on our Patreon supporter discs. So we're going to reach out to the guy who does, Rick, if you're listening, does our stamp, and get him to get a stamp set up. So for those of you at the $3 and above level, you're going to hopefully be getting your Patreon supporter disc in the next couple months as we get the new stamp finalized. And everyone that has that is a $3 and above level, we truly appreciate every one of your donations. But for those of you that are $3 and above level, you are going to be getting your Patreon disc as we get it situated.
OMG, super duper. All right, guys, it's been episode 202. Thank you guys for tuning in. As we said at the regular show, be safe. Keep all your digits and your fingers. Make sure you have at least 3 left so you can determine the 3 minutes when 1 minute up and 2 minutes and 3 minutes are up when you're out there searching for a disc. Hope everyone has a good, safe holiday weekend or has already enjoyed it. And we look forward to seeing you guys after the next stop on the Disc Golf Pro Tour has concluded over there in Milford, Michigan.
Do you think Macbeth is going to win? He is the top-rated player. I'm going to call you out here real quick. Looking at the MPO, we got Paul, Kale, MJ, Yuli, Conrad, McRae. Those are your top 5. Macbeth is the hands-on favorite?
Yeah, you would have to expect Macbeth.
If he doesn't,
are you
going to call him washed up?
I'm going to blame his wife. That's what all smart people do. Right? In disc golf? Okay. For Johnny and myself and Hannah Macbeth, have yourself a great night. Seriously, we look forward to seeing you guys next Tuesday night for a regular show at our regular time. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.